invasion of Taiwan by China and seizure of TSMC would be absolutely devastating.
Oh, obviously.
So
no, that's going to be a good thing.
Thanks for stating the obvious there.
Why do you bother reporting something like that as a story?
If your name is Taiwan Semi and you are getting invaded, yeah, it might not be a great
obviously
look.
not. Yeah, so thank you for clarifying that.
So.
I just heard something about that in semiconductors.
But anyways, maybe go short TSM.
Yeah, I mean, the chips are working to the downside, even with the market going up. But let's get on to the midday, talking some IPOs. And one of them reported today, that's Reddit. I don't think there's any big ones on tap for the last little bit, but you'll be prepared for the next one if you listen to Learn to Trade with the professor and Adara.
All right, thank you very much, Big Kahunas. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as the Midday Show. That is your girl Adara, and I'm Sharif. And we already have Kevin Mendoza, numero dos. Yes, after Bears versus Bulls. I see you, sir. And Darwin, winner. He just put chicken, but it's chicken dinner, my man. Shout out to the OG there in the chat. Darwin, JC Finance, what's up to you as well, sir? Let's wait for everyone to migrate on over. From the other stream, we have a great show for you guys today. We're talking about IPO trading all week. All right, there we go. We got Mateus Lane, Drago. We got Draco in the house. Naps, Disciplined Trades. I do like that name. Stupid Bitcoin, Saul G. We got Mac Trades and Investing. Good afternoon to you too, sir. We got JF Trader, Gorev. We got Luke Parrott. Kitchen Police. That's a great name. D. Westermeyer. What's up, man? Been a minute since I've seen you. Big Adam Deluce in the house as well. 4 Lats. We got the Piper. We got Aldrich B. Zorro. Okay, that's cool. Francis as well. Joe Finero, Matthew Booth, and Robert Dixon. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're at, to everybody. Great day today. Lots moving in these here markets. Let's get to basically what's moving at the moment. Actually, let's introduce our host, Adara.
I'm Adara.
Hello.
I'm Adara. Right now, I'm not in any trades. That's the most self-explanatory statement that's ever been made. I think this sock sell is just like socks. I can't even think of a pun. Yeah, we're taking sock sells here, but okay, this is just a mess. I want to explain my whole thought process.
Go.
That was not even the word thought. I said the word thought wrong. That's where we're at right now. I got involved long here. No, my mic is falling. We're just living our best lives. We got long here. I liked that area. We were initially resting here on that previous resistance around that 40.10. I said, sweet, I want all the smoke. I get long. Then we bounce back, and I'm like, oh, we'll reject. I'll go short. Cool, great, right? Great times. No, it's just not working. Every direction I go, sock sell goes the other way. If we break below 40s here, I'll be out. If not, I'll be okay. I want us to see to get to 40.25s. It's just like, you know, sock sell, if you're going to form a range, let a girl know. And just let me know where it starts and ends. Because right now, we're being deeply confusing. Sock sell has me, dazed and confused, in a stupor. I think we're going to have to let her go for now because I have already had too many questionable trades for having traded only since I sat down here. So yeah, sorry for that rant there, but I am Adara. That was the whole point of this, is to introduce myself, so hi.
Sock sell sucks.
Sock sell.
Suck sell. There you go, baby.
There you go, I'm back.
All right, let's get to what is moving quickly here. I'm just going to show you my trade that I had on the dead one, aka Apple. Very simple trade. It was a VWAP retracement trade. This one has been dancing below the volume weighted average price essentially since around 6:30 this morning. We had a bit of a double top at 6:30 that broke through VWAP, but that was really it. Every other print south of the volume weighted average price has come up to it and rejected. So when I sat down, you know, it wasn't that hard of a pattern to see, and then so we shorted at 182.20, and then we wet our beak all the way down into 181.95. 3 outs. Happy with this trade. What's the next trade, though? We'll be keeping eyes on that. Seeing a lot of strength in Meta. You heard the Big Kahunas talk about that this morning. Also seeing a bit of a recovery now in Softy as it clears away from 400, now breaking above 410, dealing with that 412 area. So some strength in the soft one today. We'll be talking a whole lot about that. But before we do any of that, we got to get the lesson du jour, baby, because we're talking about IPOs all weekend. Today, specifically, we're going to be talking about flipping long and short on day 1 or 2 of an IPO. And so we're going to talk about what to look for and exactly kind of how to execute these trades using a decent plan. So let's get right to it. So day trading flips involves buying and selling the same stock, specifically during IPOs, SPACs, and direct listings multiple times within a single trading day. The goal here is essentially to capture small profits from short-term price fluctuations. This lesson dives deeper into entry points, technical signals, and crafting a trading plan. So let's get right to it. So why would you want to flip or take flip trades with new listings? Really, what is the purpose of that? Why can't you do it with something else? Well, there's high volatility, right? These events often experience significant price swings due to the hype, the news, the market sentiment shifts, which creates multiple entry and exit points. So you've got high volatility, which means intraday movement, which means opportunities. Okay, that's all you really need to know. And then there's the intraday momentum, right? Because we're intraday traders, we don't really care as much about what happens overnight. So we're looking at these newer listings to develop strong momentum throughout the day, which offer opportunities for quick trades, both in uptrends and downtrends. So that's why we're looking at the flip trade specifically through the lens of IPO, or you can call them new listing trades, okay? Because we're not going to say IPO, SPACs, and DLs every time. New listing trades, that's what we'll call them. All right, so the art of the flip. I don't know how much art there is here, but we'll talk about what we can. Technical analysis toolbox. So at your disposal here is charting, right? You're going to utilize the price charts and things on the price charts like moving averages, like specifically the ones I'm talking about are the 50 and the 200. I use more, but those are the two main ones, as well as your relative strength index to identify potential entry and exit points. So entry on the uptrend. How is the move done here? So you're looking for price breakout above a short-term moving average. So you're looking to see where is the stock trading relative to the 50, the 20, the 10. You're looking for something specifically a bit more short-term. So maybe remove the 50 from that equation, look maybe at the 10 or 20. So you're looking for a price breakout above a short-term moving average, like the 20, with increasing trading volume. So you're looking for that break on good volume. This suggests bullish momentum. A lot easier to do, a lot easier to say than to actually do live and living color when the actual, everything's tanking, says the Katina man. Say it again? The Katina man wants me to let you guys know that NVIDIA is back into that 902 area. Could see 900, not that far away from it. So keep your eye on these chips if you're trading them. Keep your eye on NVIDIA and obviously AMD and the dead one today, Intel. So that's how I would suggest you look to get in on an uptrend entry. Look for something to take a short-term exponential moving average from the sell side to the long side and look for above average volume. Again, you're probably going to ask me what's above average volume. Have a look at the lower volume bar and try to make comparisons to previous volume bars to see whether this one qualifies as above average or not. Same thing with the exit on the uptrend. So how are you getting out? You've weaseled your way in when there's a moving average cross or a price breaking above a short-term moving average. How are you getting out? So consider taking profits when the RSI reaches overbought territory, for example, like a 70 print, or if the price stalls at a resistance level, like a previous high. Now that takes into consideration that it's been trading for a while so that you have previous highs off which to base it. But if you don't, look to the RSI, perhaps look to take profits once it takes that 70 level on the relative strength index. And how would you get in on the downtrend? So your entry on the downtrend here, if something's moving down, look for a price break below a short-term moving average with increasing volume, again, like the 10 or the 20. You're looking for something like that, again, with above average volume. And then your exiting strategy, similar to your entering strategy, consider taking profits once the RSI comes into oversold territory, which is typically a print below that 30, or if it finds a key area of support on the price chart. And again, that really, presupposes that you had enough price action off which to base key areas of support and resistance. Your support and resistance also really important here. We kind of alluded to it on your entries and exits. Look for price levels where the stock constantly finds support, which is a potential buying zone, or resistance, which is your potential selling zone. But you have to engage in a fair degree of active monitoring with these particular names, with these IPOs, right? You're not going to be able to, just chart some levels in the pre-market and then come in at 10:30 and then look to take a trade. Oftentimes, these levels are blown through, they're short-lived, and so you really need to be staring at the monitor for the good majority of the time while this is trading on the first and second day. So constant vigilance is key. Goes without saying. Track the live price action, the news flows, keep your eye on the order book to actively gauge the market sentiment and identify potential trading opportunities. The order book's really important here too, because you don't have as much price action on the chart off which to base trades. So if you see big size either on the ask or the bid, that could be a good helper for you as well, especially on IPO days. Discipline and risk management, awfully important when it comes to trading these new listing stocks, just because of the sheer volatility and madness that is essentially takes place on the first and second day. So make sure you're trading with smaller position size. That's going to be different for everybody. So start with a small percentage of your capital per trade. Make, for example, 1 to 2% of the risk of your overall account. You can manage, risk that, especially during these volatile periods. You even want to reduce that a little bit more. Your stop loss orders have to be very important as well. Always have stop loss orders in place. Set specific percentages below your entry price. For example, you could have a 3 to 5% price level below your entry that you could place your stop. You could base it on average true range. It could be based on key areas of support or resistance. So make sure whatever you're employing as your stop percentage or your stop plan, that it's consistent. And your profit targets. Make sure you're setting realistic profit targets based on your analysis and market conditions. Don't get greedy and miss out on potential gains. Aim for like a 3-5% move per trade. And some trading strategies. Let's get to these, right? So you always hear me talk about trend following systems like using moving average crossovers and cross downs. This is also a very employable strategy during these new listing trades. So if a clear uptrend or downtrend emerges, trade in the direction of the momentum, buying on dips and uptrends and selling rallies in a downtrend. Keep that in mind. And your mean reversion strategy as well could absolutely come into play on an IPO or a SPAC. So if the price deviates significantly from its recent average or away from a support or resistance level that's identified itself on the chart, you can anticipate a potential reversal and trade accordingly, but buy dips and sell rallies essentially. And then Adara's favorite trade here, scalping. Execute multiple small trades throughout the day based on very short-term price movements identified by indicators like your Bollinger Bands or your moving average convergence divergence, MACD for short. And then support and resistance as well. We just mentioned this in the first slide, but it features here as well. If a certain level continues to appear on the chart throughout the day, and then again that presupposes that it's traded enough to be able to develop support and resistance levels, consider taking trades off of it. Look long at your support and short at resistance, obviously, and keep that in mind. So here's how to craft your trading plan. First, a well-defined trading plan is your roadmap to success. So here's what it should include. First, your target asset. So specify the type of IPO, the type of SPAC or direct listing that you want to target. Make sure that if you're a momentum trader, you want a lot of eyes on this. If it's not a well-received IPO, there may not be as many eyes on it. So make sure you're targeting the right asset here. And then your technical analysis features heavily here. So outline the specific indicators that you're going to use for your entry and exit signals. Like, are you going to use moving averages tied in with RSI, or what's exactly your plan here? Have those ready if you have different indicators, technical indicators that you use for IPOs than you do for your regular day trades. And your risk management. You really need to be able to define this quite clearly right from the get-go. Define your stop loss, define your profit target, and your percentage gainers and losers per trade. How much you're willing to lose per trade and how much you anticipate or where you're going to wet your beak on some profits for your profit takers. And trading size here equally as important, especially with these new listing trades. Determine the percentage of your capital you're willing to allocate to any one trade. I would suggest for newer traders especially 1 to 2% maximum. It's right here, Remram. All right? And then monitoring tools. Specify the resources you'll use to track price action, the news, and the market sentiment. Are you going to be using a scanner? Exactly how are you going to keep eyes on some of this stuff? So keep your monitoring tools close. And your trading schedule. Set a specific time of day that you want to trade this. Are you going to trade this right at the open? Well, it may not open till later in the day. So for the second day play, are you looking to trade it right at 9:30, or are you waiting for that more slower time of day, like when Adara and I come on during the midday, 11 o'clock? So you got to make sure you have all of these 6 at minimum here, different components of your trading plan done before you jump in. All right, and for some extra credit, explore advanced technical indicators like Bollinger Bands to help identify potential price reversals based on volatility, and your moving average convergence divergence as well. I don't use that often, but I should. This helps you identify strength and potential turning points in the trade, Adara.
Yeah, thank you for going over that, Sharif. And I think too, one thing that is super important is that you always want to have a plan. You want to have an ironclad plan. You want to have a Vatican bulletproof Pope car type plan for your IPOs and for these stocks that will move with a bit more ferocity, a bit more viciousness and swiftness.
Yes.
So weird analogy there, but I just wanted to add that. And thank you, Sharif, for going over that right now. So I don't want to call it a revenge trade. I want to call it I drank some caffeine and got my head on straight trade here on SOXL. So we were punching in and out. It was getting to be a moment. Yeah, we took some SOXLs, but we just made a just had a SOX W in that. So pretty happy with this. Initially, I was trying to go long at this support, then it failed. Then I was going to take my eyes off this forever. I said, you know what, Adara? This is not your moment in the sun. You have to bid this one adieu. Then I said, look at that fall in NVIDIA. I want to try taking the SOXL one more time if we fail that support. Took it for 20 pennies, pleased as punch. I was going to risk basically up into this, where did I get? I was going to risk into like this 90. So risk 10 pennies, made 20. Say it with me, pleased as dang punch. Really happy with how that turned out. Still down on the day, but I made up like about more than half the losses in that one trade. And you know, I know there's that trading book, One Good Trade. I would not call this one good trade. I would call it one better thought out trade, but it was a trade nonetheless that I'm happy with. Tesla now I'm also happy with. I wanted to wrestle with Tesla when I noticed that Tesla, as the rest of the market had a little bit of a quadunk, a baby quadunk, we did have Tesla continuing to kind of make these higher highs, higher lows, at least for my money and the way that I trade, right? So I said, you know what? Let's try, let's dabble. If we fall below this area, if we fall into 174 on Tesla, which is going to be, for context in Tesla, if we fall below that, what is this, 744? Yes, we're risking a couple pennies here. I wanted to add to the position because I want to have enough shares that I can, like, you know, drive around, do a couple drop-offs along the way in my, not my Cybertruck, my Model 2, the discount model here, on my TSLA. We'll have to see how this trade goes, but happy with it so far, and I think it is better planned than pretty much all of the SOXL trades except for that one that did work out. So we're going to have to see how Tesla goes, starting to distribute or take some profit, wet that beak, if you will, at 755. Let's see if there is any smoke. I would like some smoke, but we're gonna have to wait and see if the smoke is located. How are you doing?
Good, nicely in the money here on the soft one. Got long 53s, printing 73s now. Looking for a move back into that 412 area. This was a 10 EMA dip trade. It wasn't planned, but I want to put a sticky note on my monitor here, I guess. Dip trades only, because it's by far my outperforming stock. When I try to take a trend trade, something that's doing well momentum-wise on the day, and I chase it at random levels, it's my worst trade. When I dip trade those strong names off key areas of technical support, I do the best. So I'm going to try to set up something off an exponential moving average, off a key area of support and resistance, or off VWAP. So looking for a move up here on the soft. We put a bit of a hammer candle, already wet my beak there on some profits, looking for continuation. So we'll continue to watch that. Apple is going here. So I did have that initial short on Apple, but I set that there. I'm like, look at this 182 level. I'm like, so I shorted it at 182.20 and we wet our beak into 190, 180, 195. But it reclaimed 182 awfully quickly. And then it started using it as an area of support, defending that 182 every time it coming back down to it. So Apple now incrementally higher highs, higher lows. It's above the volume weighted average price on a closing basis for the first time today. So the winds of change are coming here on the dead one Apple. Just how much? How much change are we going to get? We're still negative on the day. To go green, we got to break above that 182.40 general area, about 6 pennies below that right now. I'm going to pack my patience here, look for something a bit more concrete to see whether or not, number one, we break above yesterday's closing print at that 182.40, and number two, if we do we hold it as that level of support? So I'll keep Vadzim. Oh, thank you very much, Vadzim. Wow, 20 euros. That's a lot, my friend. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate the comment and the nice gesture on your part. Shout out to Vadzim dropping 20 euros. 20 euros. That's not bad. I'll take that. Not a bad look there. So that is a good look. Also, looking at Tesla. So Tesla had I know, call them crazy, but this one had a nice big move up through that 175.66 area, and then coming right back down now into the 50, as well as support level 1 on pivots. We had a bit of a double top here in that 945, 950 time slot where we rejected off 173 generally here, 173.60. It was the 50 period. So if we do come back into the 50, does it now act as support? That's what I'll be watching. Let's see what we get.
Yeah, so the reason for that chortle, I was not going to call you crazy to use your words. I actually am in a Tesla long. Okay. So I was just making that little sound because I was like, oh, me too. We're below the 90 MA, so je ne sais pas, but I'm way too reliant on that level anyway, so I'm going to try to chill with that. We have had that bounce I was looking for at that 744. Pleased as punch. Shout out, though, as well to Jay Lee. I know Jay Lee said that he's short the Tesla. I do think there's probably plays in either direction. I think for me, though, for right now, for my purposes, I want to try to take some scalp moves here. Happy with my entry. With the average, we are like 2 pennies out of the money. But yeah, started the position 747 or 749, 747, got a couple shares at both prices. So not a massive position, but enough for me to feel comfortable driving that Model 2 down the highway, you know what I mean? So there we go on my Tesla. What else am I looking at? I'm actually looking at Celsius again. I was looking at Celsius yesterday. This could be a day 2 earnings play, but I would see it as a short, honestly. We had that pop back above VWAP, then we slooped to the downside. We fell below that support. If we test this again, we're trying to peek our head up here at 73. If we fail 73, I think someone might be going short 73, and that person would be yours truly. Also, I want to take a look at Monster because I know I've been doing all the energy drink plays lately. I don't know. But Monster, I know, had a catalyst earlier today. I initially was trading higher, but we kind of gave up a lot of the move there. Right now, this was actually a flat bottom break earlier that I missed, unfortunately, at that 54.65 area. So they commenced a modified Dutch auction tender offer to purchase up to $3 billion of its outstanding common stock. So some kind of stock purchase deal in the Netherlands going on there for Monster. But right now, as I've said, Monster is a little bit of a slower mover. There's not a lot of energy in this stock, and it was one of my most boring trades to be in last week, to the point that I remember Sharif was like, I didn't even know you were in that trade because I just didn't talk about it because it was doing nothing. But, just because the stock moves one way one day does not mean it'll always move that way, save for Apple, which will always be the dead one in our hearts. Oh, yeah. But no, yeah, all jokes aside, I do like Monster here, potentially as a short. I think there's going to be more heat, though, in Celsius. And we know I want the smoke, so we're going to hopefully get that heat in Celsius turned up a couple degrees. Keep the energy going in that name. Tesla popping up a little bit here, pleased as punch. I'm going to have to probably start scalping out a little bit earlier. Initially, I wanted to start getting profits out at 7.55. I think right now that could be a bit rambunctious, a bit ambitious of me. Or are these wicks kind of into? Let's do 7.52s to start leaving this position. I have enough, we can recharge recharged that EV a couple times here, so I'm okay getting some out a little bit earlier. Please just punch with this trade. We'll have to see if it comes to fruition. I see you and the soft one are no longer buddies.
No, I got out.
Oh, okay.
I got out. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, it's all good. I was gonna tell everybody anyway. Yeah, I did
sorry.
get out.
Yeah.
It didn't break down. I just,
okay.
you know, it's. I thought it was a little stagnant there, so
Should have worded it better.
we ended it there. But yeah, it's continuing to go up. I think the trade is still valid on the soft one. It's actually headed up here higher than where I got out my last little portion. So that 10 period does hold. And you got to keep in mind, guys, with Microsoft. So it's not going to totally respect the 10 period. It's going to dance around it. What I really look for, does it close above the whatever indicator? If you're looking at the 20, the 50, the 200, does it close above it? Sometimes you'll get really lucky and it'll just bounce right off your level, but that doesn't happen to me all that often. So it looks like I took Softy a little bit out too early as it's going up here into 412. The other one I'm looking at, I agree with this Tesla long here with the DARA. This is a good look. It's clearly bouncing off the 50 after rejecting off the 50. So here comes that curl. Now, do we get a 175 break here? Right? We definitely got one earlier, so we'll see if we get one again. TSLA looks good at these levels. We didn't cover any small caps, so let's cover the small caps today. The best one, and this is not the best percentage gainer, but the best looking small capper on the day is not even really a small capper. It goes by the ticker MULN, and it is a small capper. It's a $47 million, $48 million now after the big move up here, market cap. So technically qualifies as small cap, and the float is also very small, 6.4 million shares, not minuscule, but it's been a really good look. Look, the deeper retracements have not existed. It's only been shallow retracements, so you've only been able to get something off the 10, at least with the moving averages that I have on my chart. The smallest is the 10. And the deepest it's gone on the retracement happened here at 11:10 p.m. It came down off that 7:15 and it went to the low there at 6:75, and that's where it touched the 10 period. That's where you could have gotten filled. So looks good. There is a topping tail candle that just reared its ugly head here at 7:57, but I wouldn't put too much stock into one candle, especially with this name. I've seen this before where they, you have outlying candles over here that make it look like it's going to turn around and come down, and it ends up moving up. So look for confirmation. By confirmation, I'm saying maybe look for a 7 break or a break of the 10 period moving average on a closing basis, really before you start staring at that topping tail candle right there. But it, on its own, doesn't look very good. Mullen, awfully nice on the day. I'll be looking for something again off the 10 EMA. That's how I'm going to play that. MXCT, also a really good one. This one started getting going right there at the bell, 9:30. We didn't have any pre-market action on this one, so we can't utilize is it above pre-market high rule that I typically utilize for these small cap gappers. So we're going to have to take it basically on its merits. Right now, it looks like there is some resistance at this 510-ish area technically. The high of the day is 514 coming back now. The initial bounce off VWAP got bought up nicely at that 490 area, and then you had a move above 5. This time, you're not quite making it down to VWAP, but we'll keep eyes on MXCT. Give you the deets on this one, $522 million market cap, so much larger than Mullen, and the float is also larger, 98 million shares there for trade in the public market, so that's a good look. NIVF has now broken below the volume weighted average price, no longer tradable for me. Look at that ugly topping tail candle. That foreshadowed a whole bunch of stuff there. Oof. Yeah, but look at how you can get bamboozled if you rely on too much on one candle. Look at this topping tail candle over here, and we end up staying above VWAP on DTCK. So this one's doing things as well, up 27.87%, $38 million market cap. The float, sub 1 million. This one can really go here, guys. Watch out for this one. 572,000 shares is the float. It's only done, though, 2.25 million shares on the day. It's a dollar stock, so the liquidity just is not there on DTCK. So those are the 4 that I've covered. CRCT is okay. This one is not respecting VWAP, though, so don't try to base something off VWAP. To me, this really looks like it's hugging the 10-period moving average. Again, unsure as to why, but really it doesn't matter, I guess, at this point, right? Just the Fact is, it's gotta respect something. So CRCT, I'll give you the details on that one quickly before we send it back to Adara. This one is 1.64 billion market cap, so it's a larger company, and the float is around 46 million shares. It does have a headline from today. Keep your eye on it. This one could come into play though. But small caps, I gotta tell you, I'm not really too pleased with them. Mullen is the best looking out of all of them, I'd say.
I like that you're telling them how you feel. Like you're not super pleased.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't that good today. I've always said, you know, you can kind of get a sense depending on what's happening when I'm doing the small cap recap. And I initially did like that CRCT.
Okay.
But then
Yeah,
it,
told me
you
about
know,
it.
just wasn't meant to be there. I thought it was kind of coily in a way that could have looked interesting. But je ne sais pas. Also, shout out to the Microsoft trade. That is awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that CELH right now, I did take a short on Celsius. Initially, we were rejecting that 73 beautifully. Now we are kind of not doing that. However, I'm going to give this 25 pennies. I'm giving it to this, what is this? This 73.25-ish area. Okay, okay. Thanks, Celsius. Dude, I just say it, and then it's like, okay, cool, you want to see that level? Cool. I was like, I didn't need to see it, Celsius. I just need you to, like, not break above it, but okay, to each their own. But no, I like that because A, that would be a lower high. B, that was an area we had some, a little bit of resistance and then support earlier, so I think this could get a little bit spicy. But either way, you know, I am down in this name right now, but I'm happy I took the trade because I liked it. Did it work out? Probably not. But
What is happening?
but I tried. It was my like I'm not sure voice. I'm like, but yeah, so Celsius, you're gonna be on my radar. TQs are doing something. I think they're trying to bounce off you up, but I'm not 100% convinced of said bounce. I'm gonna switch to the Qs to show what I mean. Yeah, so we're rejecting off that 90 MA pretty viciously, but we are above VWAP. A little bit of a bounce, so I don't really know what we're going to be getting here in the Qs. I think we might have to do a Q&A sesh right now, though. I'm going to have to dip out of my Celsius because that's getting a little too hot in that name. Did take an L there. Not massive, still not proud of it, but the Tesla is continuing to take that drive to the upside. So happy with that right now. Have
Nice.
one beak wetter out, two beak wetters out. Nice, thank you. So right now we're gonna be waiting as well for that 58s area. Then I'll have a scintilla of shares left to do what I want to with. But yeah, proud I stuck with this trade. Definitely needed this trade amidst the questionable moves that I made in CELH and more specifically in SOXL. We also got a super chat here from NZ. SGD $5. I don't know what that is. I know it's in Sweden. Is it Switzerland? No, that would be you. I don't know, because I know Sweden is kroner.
New Zealand?
Maybe.
No, I have no idea.
SGD,
SGD. Let me find out. Sorry, I saw NZ. That's why I said.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, that makes sense.
SGD currency. There we go. Find out the Singapore dollar.
Okay, sweet. Shout out to you. Thank you so much, NZ, for the super chat. Could you take a look at Uber and Starbucks? Yeah, totally. Let's look at Uber, as our pal Obi sometimes says. And yeah, Uber was Uber weak. Now Uber's Uber rangy. But I think if we break below this level, this could get a little bit fierce, which is why I'm a skosh hesitant to go long. But look at this. We have that rejection off 67. We come to bounce here a little bit and make that base around 64s. I don't hate this look. We also did make a slightly higher low from that previous 64 bounce. Now the bottom is around the 64.30. That being said, we've been decisively below the 90 MA, topping and trading in pretty low volume for a while. I think either we break above or we break below with the viciousness or we continue in this range. I don't have a huge read on this right now, though, beyond the fact that if you zoom out, this is a bit of a bear flag. I think we could break to the downside here on Uber. Honestly, Celsius be gone. I think Uber gets a roll on my side chart for that alone, because this is spicy to me, that VWAP projection.
All right, I don't know what's going on, but we didn't know what was happening last time with it either. GameStop is moving again. Neil put that in the chat. I see it, and here it is, guys, breaking through the pre-market high there, through the pre-market high as well as the earlier high, which was around 1640. So we got into 1670 there. I don't see any news to support the move, but Benzinga basically saying it came on their scanners as a result of the volume. So a good volume spike there to support GameStop and the move up. Do we know when these guys report? Did they report already? Like what? June 5th, Katina, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. So, yeah, but, almost still a month left to go between now and earnings. So we'll keep an eye on GameStop again. No reason on my blotter to justify the move, but It's meme magic, says Aaron Scott Matthews. And then, was that you, Neil? That wasn't, oh, is that the Chilean Nightmare? Who was that? It's a trap. Yeah. Well, I mean, Neil says it might be, right? So it trap. So be careful with this one. There it is. He's in it right now. He's already printing on it. Can we go back to this screen? There we go. Nice break through the top. As you guys can see, he took the previous high. Neil, can you show the previous high? Right there. There you go. So you see that takes it right there, and he's wetting his beak. 2 outs already. Shout out to Neil. Great trade there on GameStop as it moves up there on no news. So we'll keep an out for that. Yeah, so that's the look there. All right, so I have a couple of trades set up here. They may or may not come to fruition. I'm looking at getting Meta long at VWAP. So Meta's been strong. It's about 1% on the day. Tapped at 475. I had my levels charted on Meta today as likely to have trouble at 470. And I was not more than wrong on that. I was very wrong. The 50 EMA was 471.25 on, and it definitely had issues breaking through the 50 EMA on the daily. So I charted where that was. It blew through it. It didn't care. It had some support at 466 and 468. It didn't even make it down there. At least not, on the pop. Obviously at 9:30 it did, but it wasn't retracing back down into those levels. So Meta, I am I'm very bullish on, I should say. So I'm looking at anything long on Meta. If it makes its way down into volume weighted average price, I'll get long. It looks like it's holding up here at the 20, so it may not make it into the VWAP. It's holding up at around 472.5, which is where the bottom end of the 5-minute, the previous 5-minute candle is, but the close is above the 20-period moving average. So that is a trade I'm setting up there. The other trade that I want to set up is Mullen at the 10-period. Now, call me crazy on this. I mean, how many times? Katina Man called me crazy, so I've been called crazy now. I call crazy. I love it. I'm looking at setting up something maybe at 710, 711. We'll put 711 just for what and giggles.
I like that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of losing its luster a little bit. We already mentioned this topping tail candle, which could be foreshadowing, a bit of a deeper retracement. The 20 is at 680. And the VWAP is at 675. So deeper retracements, I've noticed anyway, come into the 20. So if the 10-period retracement doesn't work, I'll be looking again on Mullen for the 20 there.
7-Eleven is like the convenience store of my people in Winnipeg.
Ah, you did tell me that.
Yeah.
It's the number one.
Oh, we are like the Slurpee capital of Canada. And we also have so when I first moved to Ontario, I was so shocked because there are not 7-Elevens every 2 seconds. I'm very lucky I happen to live in a weird 7-Eleven epicenter where I have legitimately at least 4 walking distance from my house. So I feel very blessed. I was literally there yesterday. But yeah, so you said 7-Eleven. I'm like, that to me, what's life without whimsy? I'm not going to go back to Sev. But yeah, so I just wanted to shout that out there. TSLL. Oh, pardon.
Do you get nostalgic when you see 7-Elevens in Toronto?
I do. Oh my gosh. So I remember the first time I saw one in the wild, and it's actually oddly enough, one of the ones I live near now. And I say what, because I live near quite a few. Remember the Uber pulls up here. We're trying to go somewhere else. And I said, wait, that's a 7-Eleven? I run out of the Uber. I'm like, I got to go to 7-Eleven. Everyone else is like, what did this girl do? But yeah, I had to go get my 7.
I love it.
You know what
I
I mean?
love it.
But so I had to shout that out. If there's any Winnipeggers here in the chat, shout out to you. Shout out to Sev. Also, shout out to Adam DeLuce. Thank you so much for the £5 super chat. Blessed to be able to do this for a living, but more importantly, and I said that word wrong. More importantly, be a part of an amazing community. Thank you, Trader TV team. Honestly, same. I'm always so happy to be here, and thank you so much to Adam DeLuce, great participant in the chat. Also for NZ, I know the other one you asked about for your super chat, just go back to that briefly as well. Starbucks, this is a nice look on Starbucks, actually, NZ. Look at this. We had a little bit of a flat top break just to skosh here at the 78.30. And we keep grinding to the upside. Starbucks has been decisively weak. Not a lot of caffeine in that name. In fact, it's been on kind of a decaf diet like this is. This daily chart, the only word I can think of to describe it is sad. This is just really bad. We had that big move to the downside here on what I can only describe as kind of an epic earnings miss. They missed across the board. China sales very weak. And also, this is really interesting too. Right before that earnings drop, we have this support that we had coming back early October 2023, resistance at that 90 area, into earnings. Then we fall with a viciousness right now trading around 74. On the daily though, this is a nice, or on the intraday, sorry, this is a nice look here in the 5-minute, having that nice bounce off 73, or that nice move above 73.80. I would say if we come and bounce, what should we do at 73.80? If we break below this level, things could get a skosh dicey, spicy, and not very nicey.
I like it. All right, guys. We are brought to you by Blue Chew. Guys, do you remember the good old days when you were always ready to go? Well, those days don't have to be over. Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as, yes, Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, but in convenient chewable tablets, and it's a fraction of the cost. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and you'll receive your prescription discreetly delivered to your door within days. No awkward doctor visits, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Who wants to do that? Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA and shipped directly to you, and we've got a special deal for you. Try Blue Chew free when you use the promo code TraderTV at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. Visit bluechew.com, promo code TraderTV. Shout out to the folks there at Blue Chew. So that's the look there. What I've been looking at here is Meta, and it's not giving me that VWAP retracement that I kind of hoped would come in. It's too strong looks like at these levels. 20 period is the best it's going to give me at the moment. So I'm going to keep eyes on Meta, and I'll keep my order there just about in front of 472 or so. VWAP on my chart is at around 471.80. So if I can front run it by a couple of shekels, that'll be fine. I'll keep eyes on that. But I got to tell you, some of these names, they look like they're curling down just a little bit here, right? You got the goggles with that essentially 170 top. Sure, it's getting into 170.15, but it's having a lot of trouble staying above 170. So that's got my attention. Apple curling back down now off, yeah, you guessed it, that 182.40. That's yesterday's closing print. It doesn't quite make its way up there. The highest this candle went into was 38, so you had to front run that by a couple of pennies. I think that's standard procedure. So Apple coming back down now. Now, does it reject 182 or does it hold on to 182 here? That'll be the look. I just finished telling Adara that I saw some support initially at 182. That is until we break down again below it. So keeping eyes there, and we're right at 182 right now. So we'll have to see exactly how that all pans out. If it breaks and holds below 182, I could definitely be persuaded to get into the Apple short. I don't really mind. Softy right back into the 10 period, but Google's at VWAP. So I'm going to send it to you here because I like the look on Google.
Yeah, go search for that Google level right now, post haste. Yeah, nice look there for Sharif on Google, goggles, whatever OB name for that stock you like to choose. Yeah, he weirdly, I think, has christened all the names for that stock.
Yeah.
I just realized, which is really
fine.
funny. TQQs, please this punch. This was a choice. I know as well, you and I don't have the experience. You've talked about it, and I've listened with regards to how the Qs and all of these Mag 7s used to move in tandem, in lockstep, as pals, as buddies, as besties. It's not really the case anymore, which is how I can be long Tesla or via TSLL and short the Qs via TQQs and feel okay with both those positions. I like this because this was essentially a range trade on steroids. And I say on steroids because I saved a piece through the dream for the breakdown. I said I wasn't sure about what we were doing here. I mentioned that earlier. Then when I noticed we're topping and turning below the 90 MA with these failed wicks into 58.60s, I said, that's the traded era. It's a range trade with a piece for the dream for a potential breakdown. If we get into 40s, I'll take everything out here. I have a scintilla of shares left here. We've got like a third of the position left in here. But I was really happy with how I executed this. Took 6 pennies on the bottom end of this range, saving pieces for dreams. I was going to risk into 55, so risked 5 pennies, got 6. Weird risk to reward ratio, but if I'm going to scalp, I have to keep things very tight, especially when a range is literally 6 pennies, as this TQQ's range is. I do want to get out, though, probably around here, because I just do not like that we are now coming into that previous resistance here that we had in the Qs going back to this 10 a.m. area when we had these wicks into 58.40s. This is a very tight range, but I said yesterday as well, I was really proud of what I did with Celsius because it was like, I felt like I was going back to my old ways. You know what I mean? When I was trading in the sim, just finding ranges, trading slightly more expensive stocks with a little bit more vim, vigor, sass, energy, zeal, what have you. But I think that's what I want to get back to. I took that range, saw it, like it, want it, got it. Apparently that Ariana Grande quote's going to be my new thing right now. Not making 7 rings, but making a couple quick pennies there. If we break below the 90 EMA here on Tesla, I'm out because we've been riding that 90 EMA quite nicely, if I do say so myself, on the way to the upside. But I am really pleased as punch with what's been happening here. I have more than half of my position out. So the math on it's kind of funky, but it is more than half of the position has been secured. We have secured the bag. Sharif, we know, will secure the egg as well. Speaking that joke this morning, instead of securing the bag, securing the egg. Yeah, good times. Also, TQQ's then decided to break, but you know what? No FOMO here, only JOMO. I see you and our pal Softy are besties again.
Yes, trying to short this monster as it's now broken down below the 10-period moving average. So we'll keep eyes on that. I don't have a whole lot other than the trades that I've already talked about. I kind of mentioned already the small gappers that I'm interested in. It's really MULN, which I still, believe it or not, have not put a dip trade on. So I gotta set that up. Right now, the 10-period is at 7.25, so it behooves me to do that. So let's go ahead, and we're going to leave Meta up because we already have a trade set up. We're going to put Mullen, I believe it is on the NQ. So it's trading at 7.25, but again, you know, the 10-period is a dynamic range, and if it continues to head up, well, then the range will move up with it. So we're doing nicely here on the softy short. Already wet my beak on some profits. Let's see if we can get a move into 411. But the only other thing, really, guys, that I've got my eyes on is essentially 7.25, but it is a dynamic range on MULN. We'll look to get in on the 10-period moving average, up 32% here, so nothing to sneeze at there. Sharif, thoughts about Meta, says Mo Oda. So my thoughts on Meta are quite simple. I got to tell you the truth. I've got a order set up on it at the moment right here, which is for that VWAP long. So, you know, this may or may not be the trade. It may not be the most, let's just see here. The issue is it's kind of doing its thing at the 20. So if it comes back into VWAP, is it going to fail VWAP here? Because is the resistance level here based upon where the market is trading? So if the market gives up everything, we start retracing south to 18.1 or 18,000. Does Meta give a you-know-what about VWAP? No, I don't think so. So it really is going to depend on what the market is doing at these levels, depending on whether or not I get long Meta. Right now, I've got my order set in. It looks like it could trigger any second here. So I've got it at 05s, 472.15 is where the ask is. So it looks like I will likely get printed if it comes down a little bit more here on META. I'm going to stick with this trade. So if it gets filled, I'm going to go with this trade. I want to see what it does. Right now, it's even just jumping away from VWAP as it got close to it. I guess, you know, there were people front running that dip trade at the volume weighted average price, and now it's like 60 pennies above it. So I'll keep my eyes on META, looking to go long at VWAP.
Yeah, that Meta, I know you've had your eyes on. I know you have very specific levels on that as well. So I think, that'll be interesting. It's always nice when you spend like your whole day planning a trade and then it works out. Like, I think those are sometimes the sweetest ones. They don't always happen because you don't always get levels you like. But I remember I had one time, I keep in mind, this is back before NVIDIA broke above 800. I think it was like 727. I watched that level all day. I said, this is when I was in the sim, mind you. I said, if NVIDIA hits that level, you take the trade. And it's like, so if those levels do hit, that is always a little bit sweeter when you have that trade super planned, especially I'm coming from this as someone who I think definitely needs to work on planning trades a little bit better. But also, thank you so much to youriTremote.com for the $1 super chat. No message here, but thank you so much for the support. We're so happy to be here with you guys. The TQs are doing things. I did get out of these entirely, extricated myself. But look at that. We had that. I'm happy I got out at that 40s area, even though we did break a little bit lower, because look where we wicked back down to VWAP. And then TQQs is like, I don't want to be below VWAP yet. What are you talking about? Coming back to good old 58.40s. I don't want to take this long yet because we have had I would say a steady descent to the downside, but there's something in the water here.
Your Tesla trade was ridiculous.
Thank you.
Like, did you see where
Yeah,
it's like
I
174 to 176? That's a $2 move.
Yeah.
Off the area where you got in on Tesla. You got in at 174 general area.
I did get 174 general, yeah.
Yeah. That's a great trade there, Dara.
Thank
nice.
you so much. I forgot about this. So I'll talk about it. Thank you very much. This Tesla, bless you, Blessel. The Tesla was, this was my best name of the day, and I was really proud too because I was getting a little bit nervous when we got to that 744s, but I drew that was a hard line for me. I said if we break below 744s, then I'm out. We bounced at 745 a couple times. I said, you know what, Adara? Stick with it. Happy with the amount of shares I had and the size I had going into this. And I started piecing out at pre-market levels of resistance and support along the way. Started with 753, then 756. Then I like that 760 area. I did it taking the rest out when we initially struggled to break above that 760. So I think 758 was where I took out the rest of the shares. But yeah, I mean, for the top part of this, that was a 12-penny winner. So I'm really proud of myself for what I did with Tesla. This was very much a tortoise in the hare type trade. Slow and steady wins the race, which is not usually my type of bag. I like my scalps. I like my fast and furious type action. So happy to take a bit of a slower moving trade that I planned and was able to execute. Thank you so much to Your IT Remote as well for the $10 super chat.
Cheers.
Thank you very much, guys. We're so happy to be here. YourITRemote.com. I'm guessing you do IT. Hopefully you're having a great day over there, trading with all of us here. It's been a wild one. I am still down in the day. Thanks, Celsius. Yeah, we know what my big loser was today there. We took an Celsius on Celsius, but we're gonna only try to go up from here. We're gonna have to turn that heat up. What are you looking at?
I'm going to shout out some people there in the chat. Gorev, Disney now on a downtrend shorting level, breaking down from VWAP. Sorry, what was that, Fabian? Neil. Oh, yeah. Neil is doing his lesson a little early today, guys. So Neil's lesson of the day is here.
Psych. No, lesson of the day. A little bit early. Candidly, I have a really good reason for doing this before 12 o'clock. I'm meeting my high school business teacher with a good friend of mine for lunch. Haven't seen her in years, and it's really good to reconnect. So gonna have a lot of fun there. But the lesson I want to talk about today, usually there's something that happened where you learned the hard way, or there was a frustrating trade, or there was a loser or a missed opportunity. It's like, oh, why didn't I have that? And something along those lines leads to what we learned as a lesson of the day. This one's gonna be a little bit different because setups are here, setups are everywhere. You look at charts long enough over the years, and I've said this with regards to traders as well. If you're smart and dedicated and sitting on the floor, finding opportunities to get into trades that are good-looking setups is not really that hard. Usually what trips people up is, A, once they're in a position, managing the risk and having it out and adhering to it, making quality execution decisions to get in and making quality execution decisions to get out, and then taking all of those opportunities and deciding which ones not to do, which is part of it. So I want to deal with two parts of that, which one of them is going to be execution strategy, and the other is going to be when does it set up and an idea and a concept something that you don't want to take, and affirms the reason I'm going to come to sort of this, not conclusion, but to this idea today. Because a setup that I actually am a really big fan of for day trade looked like it was going to be there for a firm. And the general idea, and it doesn't have to be earnings, but in this particular case it was, a firm reporting in the morning, Upstart reporting after close. They're adjacent, they're not the same thing, but you had a situation where a firm dumped on Upstart earnings, possibly trapping some sellers and relieving some pressure of longs that have gotten out of the stock overnight, and then gapped up on their earnings move. Also has a decent short float. So it gave you exactly what you're looking for. Then it was a breakout trade looking to take some highs. Seems like it should be a VWAP continuation in here and then a long, but that was the exact moment it was a short. So why was this trap shorts, that's who you're trading against, gap up, catalyst is earnings, why was that not a long opportunity? And the answer for me would be if it could have held a higher low and broken back out again, it actually would have been a long. But the reason why sometimes not to take things can be multiple. It can be multiple. First, you could ask yourself, do I want to go against the general trend? I think with a squeeze name, you're okay with that. Had it not been a name with a short float, maybe I don't want to go against that general trend. But the more important thing to consider would be, look at that little lower high that it put in. It's not about the fact that it's downward trending. This is 36.70. And it had already tapped this resistance once, twice, thrice. That's telling you something. On a downward trending stock, there are sellers in front of that price, 36.5 to 36.70. So when you see this, if there aren't buyers above, why would I want the long? It's not enough that it gets there pre-market or on some crazy wick at 9:30 where you know anything can happen at 9:30, you happen to get that break. It has to hold above where those sellers are. When it does that first initial bounce, it tries to get back, puts in another lower high, and then dumps. There's no consolidation there. There's no higher lows there showing you that buyers have gotten control of the stock. So the long setup isn't really valid. The general idea is there, trap shorts overnight, gap up higher, catalyst is earnings, but there's just not that extra piece of confluence that should get you away from, the overall general short idea there. Thank you. Well, if you shorted it when it fell through and trapped some of those longs, you actually would have had the dollar club or like the $2 club or the $3 club, whatever it might be. So that's an example of why a basic setup doesn't give you a reason to actually take it. You can say, hey, it kind of looks like it might do something I want to grab, but there's no reason for me to take that trade just yet. You can wait for the confirmation. In that case, I was trying to get the short, didn't get it, it went too fast. The reversal was a fantastic one. The other thing, and sometimes I'll do this where you have an execution plan and the execution plan actually costs you something, even on a winning trade, but it's important to have it anyways. In this particular case, I looked back at yesterday being a frustrating day, and we've talked about this before. Probably a few too many shots at Palantir, but when taking multiple shots at resistance or support levels or bounce plays, if you have a good execution plan, you can limit the damage and maximize your profits. So one of the things I always try to do is if you are shorting into a resistance area on a stock against the grain of the market and even against the grain of that sector or that individual name, clearly AMD is making a bounce and going strongly. It's always good to have an execution plan that allows you to be with momentum, possibly maximize the scalp trade or what you're trying to capture, and also lets you stay disciplined. So the notion of when I was shorting 155, not just getting short into that level, but every single entry, it breaks 155, can't make a high. Once it doesn't hold a higher high and gets back underneath, short right back underneath 155, scalps them out. It then on that same wick, broke 155, couldn't break 155.10 on the way back in. This is a 3-minute candle, so it happened fast. Short back underneath 155. Break of 155, cannot go higher, back underneath. And the thing about taking the short when it regains underneath that support level is twofold. One, it means you're not getting into position at the maximum point in which the stock is screaming against you, right? Like you're not taking it under all of that duress. It also means that anybody that's trying the continuation breakout long above 155, that's some of your exit liquidity. Because anyone taking this long, well, you're able to take advantage of them stopping out underneath 154.5 and grabbing some profit. Ultimately, the last reload here doesn't happen because it doesn't give that same setup where it breaks 55 and comes back underneath. But when we talk about an execution plan, that's part of it. It's not just about, I like this price level, I like this stock. If you can also find yourself an execution plan that allows you to stay in the position, to sort of maximize your ability to trade it the way you want. If you're scalp trading it, get it with momentum instead of against can be very helpful. And it just comes down to whatever works for you. Against the grain, or if you happen to be going against the trend, at least the short-term trend, then you want to have an execution plan that allows you not to get completely run over and then just have the trade be right a couple of minutes later. When you're going with the trend, it can be easier to just join and be a little bit more aggressive, but your execution plan is the second part of that story. Sometimes it'll mean you don't take something that works, but it's there to help you maximize those results. So that's your lesson of the day. Sometimes there's a setup that you just don't want because it didn't give you that extra reason to get in. And also have a strong execution plan, so especially when you're going against that grain, you're gonna not get run over multiple times and be able to be in the trade as it starts working instead of hoping it starts working. So best of luck out there, everybody. Good luck trading, your lesson of the day.
Thank you very much for that, Neil. I just got into a couple of positions, so I have to put my stops, so I got to send it to you.
Yes, I will chat. Hi, everyone. Starbucks, I'm like subliminally taking caffeine from this market. I had that Celsius trade earlier. Now I'm trying to, mooch off of Starbucks. Good vibes and caffeine. I want to get involved here. Shout out to Adrian N for saying Starbucks about to rocket. I remembered we did have that nice break above that 73.80 area. I'm going to be getting out if we break below that 70. Well, I'm not even in yet. What am I saying, girl? I'm not even in. I want to get in just below 74s. That might be a little bit too low, but I do not want to get involved at this near highs. This is a type of trade I'm always a little bit more skeptical to take, so I want to make sure my risk management and my entry into it reflects that. We're going to be risking roughly 11 pennies. Not like that number has any significance. It's just because I want to get in here, and I think I've probably missed the boat. I think the line has moved up without me. It's the new drink of the day. I don't know. I've missed my opportunity, I think, here. But I do want to get involved at 73.97. If we can kind of come back, bounce a little bit off that. Honestly, though, we'll do like 74s. And I don't think this is too much chasing. I'm moving this about 3 pennies. I really just want to make sure that I'm choosing levels that are realistic if this is a trade that I do like. I think we had that beautiful failure to break below that 73.85. And then we had this nice little chop and churn, sitting pretty, waiting very patiently and kindly here at this 9 EMA. I think when this line breaks to the upside, when they open the Starbucks doors, I think all the customers are going to run in. A lot of energy, a lot of caffeine, a lot of viciousness. Anthony Kerr mentioning a name here I have not thought about in many moons, and I don't know why. AMD, wee. So let's look at AMD. Oh, I just typed AM. So, okay. AMD. Are we saying we to AMD? Ooh. Yeah, if you're short, you certainly are. Shout out. I'm guessing you're short there, Anthony Kerr. And honestly, that's a great look. I like this 153.20 area. We did have a little bit of chop and churn. A little baby pause there in that 153.20 that we break below. Resistance, fall to the downside. Now, though, we're having a little bit of a baby bounce here at that 152.80s, which was the previous top of that pre-market range. So there's certainly some levels coming into play here. Right now, though, AMD, seems like the right sound there. That's a really nice look. Also, Apple Fritter, I guess, shout out to Neil there, who I don't know if he's even sitting down right now, but the intensity of the defend at QQQ 440 seems like a key option situation. Yeah, I don't know. I found this area interesting. I took this short initially. Now, though, like I said, I think, for me at least, the main play would be a chop and churn. Really, you just get a couple pennies coming into that 58.45 reject. If that rejection keeps rejecting, I know I will not be rejecting an opportunity to get involved. And with that involved, I'm going to stop saying rejecting so many times. How are you doing?
Good. Got out some there on this range on Meta. So a bit of a range now established. Was able to get some out there at 45. We'll see if we can get a little bit higher here. I mean, it is a range, but it's also kind of putting a rounded bottom a little bit with these bottoming tail candles coming just a skosh above VWAP. That's where I had my plan initially with Meta, but it wasn't coming down to VWAP. So I want to participate somehow in this name, and we're nicely in the money now on this name. Let's see if it can move up into that whole dollar. I'm looking possibly for a 474 generally in that area. We've been dancing with 473 and 472 for a while. Tesla, I kind of fat-fingered my mistake here. I should have had profits way higher. I should have had some at the 50. That would have been a nice 25 penny winner. I didn't have a profit taker out, and as a result, it kind of retraced a little bit without me. Back in the money on TSLA, looking for a 50 print. I'm just going to leave that order out there. Come what may, I don't really care. So we're going to leave that, and we're going to focus a little bit here on META. I'm waiting for something around 474, but a whole bunch of blue just came in on my side chart there, on my tape there, which means those are below the ask prints, below the bid, excuse me, which means a lot of exuberance with respect to selling. So this range trade is going to have to take its sweet time. The market's really tight within a range right now. We've been dancing, I would say about 30 points, not even. 18,193 to the high side, 18,166. So 30 points for the better part now of almost an hour. So you can basically get the idea here that the market is doing bupkis. And so, yeah, we'll have to look for these trades as we can get them. Tesla coming right back down now, so didn't get my profit taker filled at 175.40. I'll be looking to add a little bit more to this at 174.66 because that's where the 20-period moving average is, and I'd like to add a little bit into this. What's up, Katina, man? Number one trade idea, NVIDIA short, Palantir, Tesla? Oh, Tesla. 176 short sale. More negativity out of China, plus now same or some were, yeah. 176 short sale. TSLA came into 176.06, and as you can see, it's now breaking down below 175. We'll see what we get here, whether or not we get some support at the 20 period. Packing my patience for that.
You know what I'm also packing my patience for? I'm so excited to see the new podcast that we're getting here, Freedom and Wealth Podcast. Look at Sean and Brendan there. Definitely check this out. You can subscribe right now, 154 subscribers, so definitely join. Get that number up there. Check this out, weekly episodes. We also have the week ahead coming back here as well, which you can check out on Sunday morning. So lots of stuff always happening on this channel. And if you want to learn about freedom and wealth, which, you know, I think that's all what trading is all about, right? That hustle, that grind towards freedom and wealth, definitely give that a subscribe. That works better in my head. Subscribe. Just press subscribe, get involved, and join the movement there. That Tesla log is a nice look. I was mulling over that myself, but also that reminds me, I just said Mullen. How dare I say Mullen and not pull up the Mullen chart? That's very disrespectful of me. Do I want to get long Mullen? Famous last words, I want to go long Mullen. But no, I do think that we're resting. We had that gap down a little bit here, but we're resting on that 90 MA. Ooh, you know what? Small position. Let's see what we do. Spread here getting a bit spready. We went from a 1 penny spread to a 4 penny spread seemingly within seconds, but I do like this little 60 bounce. I think it's waiting patiently for a move to the upside. And you know what I say? I want all the smoke. Probably the second I get involved. Yeah, and as I say that, there we go. Bye, Mullen. Okay. We're going to give this to 40s because I do want to risk a couple, at least 20 pennies because I want to get this into 90s here. I think Mullen will probably make me sit here biting my nails. I think this trade's going to be a cliffhanger, nail biter, etc. Literally looks like we're falling off a cliff. So thanks, Mullen. But I do like this. I'm happy I took it as much as it was kind of a, oh, let's just look at this chart type trade. I like this little bounce. I think we're sitting pretty here. I don't really want to add to this position unless I continue to see this bounce at 50s. But that is the MULN trade. How is your EV going?
It's okay. We're out of the money at the moment, about 20 pennies out of the money on this Tesla trade. Looking for a 20-period hold. If it breaks a 20-period, that's the end of the trade. Stop's already in, so let's get to the lesson du jour, baby. All right. We are talking about IPOs all week today. No different. Today we're going to be talking about the flip style of this trade, going long and short a new listing name. So new listings, in case you're wondering, include direct listings, SPACs, which stands for Special Purpose Acquisition Companies, and IPOs, which obviously stands for Initial Public Offering. So that is the look there. So day trading flips. They involve buying and selling the same stock, specifically on IPO, SPACs, and DLs, multiple times within a single trading day. The goal is to capture small profits from short-term price fluctuations. This lesson dives deeper into the entry points, the technicals, and the crafting of a trading plan. So let's get right to it, baby. So why would you want to flip with these new listings? Like, why would you want to go long and short on an IPO? Well, because it presents you with high volatility, right? So you got those, so I just have to cancel this for a second, see this Tesla trade that we're doing well on here. So yeah, I got to pause this lesson, sorry. So I got to figure out exactly what I'm going to do with this Tesla trade because coming back up. So I want to put a beak wetter to get some out. If it does break above, I'm going to go 170, let's go 175, just below that $20 area. We'll go at 18s or something like that. So sorry about that, guys. I had to stop to manage these here trades. So why flip to news, high volatility. So these events often experience significant price swings due to hype, news, market sentiment. They create multiple entry and exit points. And because there's multiple entry and exit points, that means you can go long and you can go short likely within that same day, okay? So you also have that intraday momentum. So new listings can develop strong momentum throughout the day, offering opportunities for quick trades on both uptrends and downtrends. So let's talk about the art of the flip. So your technical analysis toolbox is really going to include here mostly charting. So you're going to utilize price charts. You're going to utilize moving averages like the 50, like the 200. You're going to utilize a relative strength index to identify potential entry and exit points. So for your entry on an uptrend, you want to look for a price breakout above a short-term moving average like the 10 or the 20, and you want to look for increasing volume with that break of the short-term EMA. So this suggests bullish momentum, okay? You want to exit on the uptrend when, or profit take, when the RSI reaches that overbought territory, which is typically above a print of 70, or if the price stalls at a resistance level like a previous high. That takes into account, or that presupposes that you have enough price action to know what a previous high is. Your entry on a downtrend, so for a short, you're going to be looking for a price breakdown below a short-term moving average, again, like the 10 or the 20, with increasing volume. So you're looking for two things, a crossing down of the 10 or the 20 with above average volume. This will suggest to you bearish momentum. And how do you exit on the short? So you can consider taking profit when the RSI reaches that oversold condition, like around, below 30, or if it hits a previous area of support, if there's enough price action on the chart. You can always look at support and resistance to buy and sell off there. The reason we've not really included that as your number one is because, by definition, these IPOs, these direct listings, these SPACs don't have that much price action off which you can gauge support and resistance. So that's the look there. And I'm now out of my Tesla long. It did break down below my level, so that's the end of the trade there. We could have gotten out break even, but we'll take the L on that Tesla trade. So we'll look to re-engage once we are done this lesson. So you're active monitoring, right? You have to be an active monitor if you were to trade these IPOs. Constant vigilance here, guys, is absolutely key. You got to track the price action. You got to keep your eye on the news flow to see if any catalyst came out subsequent to the IPO or the DL, the SPAC. And you got to keep your eye on the order book, right? Because there's not that much price action activity on the chart. You have to see where the big orders are sitting. That requires a level 2. If you don't have that, you really need to get a broker that offers you that level 2. So keep your eye on market sentiment by keeping your eye on all these things: price action, news, and the order book. But discipline and risk management are absolutely required when trading these IPOs. So the first thing I'd say to you is position size. Look to take a smaller position size than you typically would. There's all these numbers that are floated out there. I'll say to you 1 to 2% of your capital max, especially for newer traders, and especially during the more volatile times. Your stop loss orders, equally as important as position sizing. You always got to use these stops and make sure that you're apprised with all the different types of stops, because in the very volatile time that an IPO trades at, your stops may or may not get triggered. You may get blown through, so make sure you're apprising yourself of the stop orders, the stop limits, the stop markets. You got to know all of them before you engage in this type of trading activity. And your profit targets, you got to make sure that you know where you're going to wet your beak on some profits, but make sure to set realistic ones, right, that are based on your analysis and the market conditions, the current market conditions. Don't get greedy and miss out on potential profits. As Neil says, nobody ever went broke taking profits. Aim, a realistic aim here could be 3 to 5% from your entry, but that is really depending upon the stock that you're trading. So, and your trading strategies. Here are some trading strategies you can use. Trend following. We always talk about this, right? If a clear uptrend or downtrend emerges, trade in the direction of the momentum, buying on dips in an uptrend and selling rallies in a downtrend. You can also mean revert. You see the OB, the one that Knob loves mean reversion trades. If the price deviates significantly from its recent averages or from the support or resistance, anticipate a potential reversal and trade accordingly, like buying dips or sell rallies. And scalping. Adara loves scalping, so you can execute multiple small trades throughout the day based on very short-term price movements identified by indicators like your Bollinger Bands or your MACDs, whatever indicator you're using there. So keep that in mind. And crafting a trading plan. So a well-defined trading plan is, no question, your roadmap to success. Here's what should include. Your target asset. What are you identifying here, okay? So we know we're looking for DLs, SPACs, IPOs, but they're not all created equally. So are you gonna trade the Birkenstock IPO the same way that you would have traded CART or Reddit or the de-SPACing of DJT? The answer to that should be no. They weren't the same. They didn't have the same liquidity. They didn't move the same. So you have to know what your target asset is. Are you looking for that less liquid asset and you're going to give it a whole bunch of room because it's super spready? Or are you looking to trade this IPO kind of like you would a small cap? Quick ins, quick outs, big price movements with smaller share size. You really know what your target asset is. And then your technical analysis. What tools are you going to employ here? I suggested to you earlier to use short-term moving averages like the 10 or the 20. And if they break above or below those areas on above average volume, you can go long or short. You can use whatever you want. I would suggest to you moving averages and RSI for IPOs. Your risk management also has to be top of mind when trading these newer listings. So define your stop loss and your profit target percentages per trade ahead of the trade. And your trade sizing, almost part and parcel of the risk management, determine the percentage of your capital you're willing to allocate per trade. I would suggest to you, for newer traders, 1 to 2% of your account capital maximum. And your monitoring tools. What are you going to use to monitor these IPOs? What are you going to keep? How are you going to keep tabs on them? So specify the resources that you'll use to track the price action, the news, and the market sentiment. And trading schedule. Set a time limit for your daily trading. That could be like 1 hour of IPO trading, 2 hours, or not just time limit, but time sensitive. Do you want to trade these IPOs right at the open at 9:30? If it's a second day play, are you going to trade it right when it opens? If it opens after 12, are you going to take that right away? You're going to wait for power hour. So define the time in the day that you want to trade and make sure that you're apprised of the market conditions during that time. And trading journals, right? Commit to recording your trades, including your entry, your exit points, your rationale, and the results of the trade. This helps analyze the performance and refine your strategy. And so that's basically it for that lesson, Adara.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sharif. Lots of love there in the chat as well for that awesome lesson of the day. Also, I like what Havana Woody has to say because this is something I was not aware of. The valuation changing from the initial news can really mess up your long on a SPAC. Lucid, for example, went from 65 a share to 27 within an hour of the bait and switch. I was not aware of that, so thank you for sharing that with us. Havana Woody, speaking of bait and switch, Soxel, TQs. What are you saying? No, I'm joking. It's fine. So I got involved here. I got involved knowing we did have this kind of bullish candle, but I was like, you know, as Sharif says, I think I agree with you. You don't want to get involved in something based on one candle. The overarching trend on Soxel was lower highs, lower lows. We're about to make a higher high here. If we break above that 45s, bye-bye Soxel. I'll get socked in the face, take my hits, take my losses, go to bed, you know what I mean? But I think like we do keep seeing that rejection at the 45, which is why I'm happy I'm still in. TQQ's actually the same thing I'm looking for actually, which is a 45 rejection. I like my TQ entry point a lot better though here. Initially got involved, started adding at 35s, then add a little bit at 39s. If we break above that 45 area, which was some resistance support getting a little bit flip-flopped, that's what I'm gonna have to say au revoir. Keeping everything very tight. These were riskier trades, especially for me to be involved in both at once. But it's like if you like something, try to take that thing. Even if it doesn't work, because you know the thing that I'll say too is yeah, sure, it might not work, but it also might work for you. You know what I mean? That being said, I was concerned about the TQs being along more so than I was about Soxel, and the main reason for that was we were resting for a while, sitting pretty at that support from that previous resistance flip at 38. 38. Jeez, not 58. 35. So we flipped from support there, from resistance to support. And then we were kind of curling up, but there was like, oh, these wicks generally the downside suggests there might be some buying. Last I was wrong, definitely wrong about my sock sell. We're gonna have to take the sock sell on that sock sell. This was not at all my bag, but you know what? Taking less L's, making more M's as the story goes, or as the 21 Savage song goes more accurately. So out of that, TQs though, not breaking above my 45. So TQs might be the better trade here. And as I say that, we break above. What a day. Always just happy to take these opportunities. And you know, if the market, you got to get punched by the market sometimes so you can just get back up, brush the dirt off your shoulders, shout out to Jay-Z, and keep climbing. What are you up to?
Not much. Just still looking at Tesla. I'm seeing bottoming tail candles off the 50 period. So that is what I'm looking at there. I put a dip trade at the 50 period at the $0.25, but it really just bounced off there aggressively. So I don't want to chase this again because last time I chased it, I ended up paying, but it looks like it is headed up here. NVIDIA is also headed up. You got the Fuge as well, looking to possibly curl into that 18.2 area. So that's an interesting look there for the Fuge. So we'll keep eyes on all this stuff here. I see also Amazon, for whatever reason, has been kind of just hovering at the volume weighted average price for some time. I mean, you've had these perfunctory breaks where it bounced off support level, I think that's support level 1 off pivots there. But for whatever reason, all the closing prints above the volume weighted average price on Amazon, which is at 187.46, is starting to curl now, as you can see here, putting in these higher lows. So Amazon could be curling and possibly headed to the upside here. All right, we just wet our beak on a profit on TSLA, so happy with that one. We'll see if Tesla can take us back near the highs. I know the Katina man was saying 176 short, and he could not be more accurate there because HOD right now is 176.06. So happy with this Tesla trade. Disappointed in that I got shaken out last time from it, but was able to kind of get a little bit back there off that trade. I also want to mention that Apple just went green on the day again, up 0.07%. Broken through that 182.40. That's where the line in the sand was between green and red on the day. It is above that and trading now above the 50 period moving average on era.
I love that transition there, Sharif. I can't do it the same way, but yeah. So TQQs, I want to get long now. I know you might be like, Adara, didn't you just have a whole heartbreaking back and forth with these guys? I said, you know what? Yeah, I did. Flat in the name now, despite some earlier strength on this name for myself personally. But you know what? I did not like we did like the short. Then I was like, you know, if that 45 area that I was watching for, it's the same thing we're talking about literally with flipping the IPOs. Instead of flipping here, I'm going to flip with the TQs, right? If I like to level, why do I not like it on the back of it? I'm going to use it as resistance. Why can't I use it for support if that holds up? So I want to use that. I do think given how strong that 35-45 interplay has been all day on the Qs, I think there's something in the water here. Actually, no, it's a bigger position than I thought it was. Oops, okay. That wasn't even a fat finger. I just think I was like being a skosh overzealous here. We're going to scalp this out as we get into 55s and 60s. I want to be probably out of most, if not all of it, heading into 62s. And I say that because there was that little chop and turn earlier. So those are areas I'm looking for. SOX L doing the same kind of thing here when you do have that support and resistance flippity flop. It's not perfect bounce, mind you, but that resistance earlier 45, if we bounce here, you know what I want, and that's all the smoke. So there we go.
Love it.
Dipping, wetting beaks, getting all that smoke in the market. Good times are to be had as always here. Let's take a look at Starbucks because I know that one had that move. That is not on the Amex era. Starbucks is decidedly on the NQ. So let's take a look at Starbucks. Yeah, this one continuing to climb. I should get, every time I want to get involved in this long, I miss my opportunity. And I don't want, you know, you only got one shot, so don't miss your chance to blow. So I don't, you know what I mean? This opportunity does come once in a lifetime. Although if you've been buying into Starbucks, you basically get it every time we touch the 9 EMA. So I might have to keep my eye on that. Right now, though, I don't want to lose myself in this trade unless I really see a setup that I particularly love, especially because I don't love getting involved in your high of days, and that is what I would be doing here. Speaking of getting involved in your high of days, Mullen, where are you at? Okay, yeah, I'm really proud of where I got out of this. Was it a loss? Yes. And should I have added in? Arguably not, but I'm happy with how I managed it. We dip below 40s with a viciousness. I say bye-bye. So bye-bye, Mullen. Not Mullen over you anymore. I am just, you know, had to say lol to my Mullen trade, but yeah, it's all good. All good. Good times. What are you looking at? Oh, Amazon.
Yes, I'm
Opie's
in
favorite
Amazon, and I'm trying to take a 50-period dip on Tesla. Where'd I got? I got 36s. I'm going to give this to 19s. If it breaks, then that's the end of that. I see you, Jay. Jay Lee's like, looks like Tesla might break down. I wanted to try a 50-period dip and pop, but if it's not forthcoming, it's not forthcoming. We're going to risk about 16 pennies on this here TSLA trade to see if it can pop up and hold the 50-period moving average. That's really the whole idea here, not much else other than that about this trade. So we'll see if it can bounce right back up. But the market is coming back down into the volume-weighted average price. So be careful with that, guys. And I also got into an Amazon trade, and that one is a little bit out of the money as well, about 5 pennies out of the money there. So I'll have to keep tabs on that one. But yeah, the market is in a bit of a range, and that's going to be the end of my Tesla trade there. So we'll give back what we just made on that Cybertruck because it did break down below the 50. So, you know, we'll look for another possible dip trade at 173.50. That's where the volume-weighted average price is. I'll pack my patience on that one. I'm looking to defend this Amazon one here because I do like the possible curl, at least at looking to defend the volume-weighted average price on AMZN. So we'll keep eyes on that. We didn't look at some small cappers, though. We haven't been looking at these small cappers in a little while. So let's have a look at MULN. Now it's the deeper retracements, we were talking about this, go into the 20. The more shallow bounce off the 10, and Mullen just got the deeper retracement there into 7.25. So it looks like it is kind of curling back off that, looking to go 7.5, 785 HOD right now on what's it called? MULN. So good look there. All right, so we did get filled on Amazon at VWAP. So now we have 59s. So we're only 2 pennies out of the money. Let's see if we can curl our way back up and put in those higher lows on AMZN. I think a decided break of that 187.40 is going to have me out of this trade completely. So we'll have to keep tabs on that. Alas, Tesla is holding up at the 50 yet again. So too quick to get out of this. But, you know, when as Adara says, you know, once burns, twice shy. So that's why I did not want to be in this one for all that long, but it is holding the 50 as I watch it. Now, if it clears the 50, I'll look to get in. Otherwise, I'm just going to steer clear because it looks like I have not had a good reading on that. Sorry, guys, I see you guys tagging me in the chat, but I have to monitor these trades. So if I'm missing them at the moment, I'll try to get back to them later.
Yeah, I'm also in 2 trades right now. It's like, well, I don't know why this is the day that I decided I'm going to be in 2 trades when my mind has not been 100%. But it's like, I don't dislike my impetus for getting involved in any of these trades today. The one exception being, Adara, why did you add it to Mullen? Pardonnez-moi, je ne sais pas. I don't know. It was a choice. But you know what was also a choice was trying to get long here when we come back and retest that previous resistance here on the SOXL and the TQs. All the reason I'm comfortable being in both these at the same time is because I'm taking them for the same reason. So it's like if one of them has a little kick to the upside, the other one might also get a little kick to the upside. You know what I mean? So I'll put it this way. These are not 2 trades I'd want to trade opposite each other unless NVIDIA and its chip pals are moving in the exact opposite direction of the future. So I'm happy with this. I can't believe you said the future. I feel like I'm all grown up as a trader now.
I like it.
But yeah, I know the future is like the major Sharifism there. You know, trying to use some terminology. But yeah, so we're more pennies in the money in the SOXL than we are in the TQs, but profitable in both right now. Let's get going TQs. Let's get going SOXL. Let me sock SOXL in the face this time because that one's we know has given me a couple. You know, show me who's boss. I'll put it that way a couple times there. Acting like Sylvester Stallone and Rocky, trying to be like, no, Adara, get out here. Yeah, we're going to go at 60s. I'm okay with that. I can live with that. And yeah, we're going to go at 60s. Oh, 59s. It's me. It's me. We're always a little bit more cautious. We're going to go at 59s. Please just punch with that. TQs, keep it coming. I know Nacho in the chat wanted to look at Clove. So let's see how CLOV is doing here. I think there is maybe earnings on that. I want to get less specifics here on C to the L to the O to the V. Clover Health Investments, yeah, they just reported Q1 earnings yesterday and improved their guidance, but it doesn't say what the previous guidance was. For me, okay, never mind. I was going to say we had a little bit of resistance coming in at that 88-cent level, but we just broke above it. So Clover Health wants me to be a liar here. No, but other than that, we've been in a steady uptrend since 10 a.m. Higher highs, higher lows. Still below that previous high, though, of 92. We got a nice volume pop here, so maybe Clover still has, a little bit more luck left in it. I'll put it that way. And nice move on the daily chart as well, but we need to break above this. We had that previous support at 90 cents. Now we had that resistance at 90 cents. I think if we can break above that 90 cents with a resistance and a closing level on the daily chart, that could be a nice look. Couple pennies away from getting filled on SOXL. TQ is working. I have to say, these are two riskier trades that I have to say I was quite nervous about getting involved in, but say it with me, please, this bunch.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Shout out to you. All right, we wet our beak on some profits on Tesla as it did hold up again at the 50, which helped me get in. We're about 20 pennies in the money on the name. Wet our beak there on some profits at 15. So we'll see if this one holds up. The softy trade, sorry, not the softy, the Amazon trade also about 10 pennies out of the money as well right now. If that one breaks below, well, then we'll get out of that candle at 12.10. So the low of the candle, the 5-minute candle at 12.10. If it makes a newer low below that, that's going to be the end of the trade there on AMZN. We'll look for a big move up, but I got to tell you, these markets awfully dead at the moment. The Future is dead. All the Mag 7 are dead. So you're going to really have to pick your spots with these names. Otherwise, it just becomes, mundane, boring trades. And that's kind of the feeling I'm getting with a lot of these right now. Not much happening to the upside or the downside. So we'll pack our patience. We'll see what we get on these names. Let's look at the scanner. Let's see what's up with the scanner. I see a new one coming in here, DZSI. So DZSI, an interesting one. Let's have a look at that, DZSI. So this one, small cap gapper, not having done all that much, 486,000 shares. It's a $60 million market cap. It's got a float of 17 million shares. At the highs right now, 189. Let's see if this one is a former runner. What do we got on this one? Yeah, so this one, not really a former runner, but as you can see, down and to the right is the chart. So just reclaim the 50 there. The 200's at 250. We do have price action resistance at 2.25, a bit of a double top going back to December and early Jan of this year. So an interesting one here that's going. Keep your eye on that one. What else is going on? MULN still above that 20-period moving average at 7.25, but it's having trouble now breaking through 750. Bit of a topping tail candle through there. So maybe the jig is up right now on MULN. We'll have to see if it can get moving in the more liquid time of the day. MXCT, this one's been holding VWAP all day long with one perfunctory break over here at 11:30 and got bought up immediately. And it looks like it's really kind of bouncing off the 20 rather than VWAP. So we'll keep tabs on that. DTCK just tanked off that high, 173, $1.73 coming into $1.50. It's at VWAP right now, and most of the prints have closed above VWAP. So this could be an interesting entry here on DTCK as it looks to pop right back up again. Interesting look for that name, Adara.
Yeah, I'm just literally was sitting here like bated breath, like because I've been learning to trust my instincts more. I can tell I need to get out of both these trades right now. I wasn't able to get the exact fill I wanted there, 58s, but I can just tell based on what I'm seeing on the book here that things are getting a little bit shaky, a little bit curious. I took about 10 pennies in the SOXL. Could I have taken more? Sure. But would I have, am I happier I took my profits? A little bit, yeah. I mean, my initial plan for exit was going to be 59s. We missed it by a penny. And I could have stayed in, but honestly, that's not going to be my type of trade. Now, here's why the TQQs are having me shaking in my boots. I'm quivering right now in this trade, and that's because I do not like this candle, Sam I am, at that 58.40 area. We had that wick above. We failed it. We can't break above 58.50. We're now ducking below the 90 MA. I'm worried this flips short because I think that the long argument was probably tenuous at best. I think for the TQs, we're flat in the position. It's not even like I'm like, oh no, like blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like no puppies were stolen. Everything is all good. This is the type of action I see in a chart. And especially someone who likes to be in and out of stuff quickly, this is the type of thing that makes me extremely nervous. If the TQs want to turn themselves around, if they want to prove themselves to me, you know what? I'd be pleased as punch. I know Sharif would as well. I know you're in the Amazon and the Tesla along with me, so we want those cues to the upside. And maybe
Yes,
I think if I dance enough, it'll make it happen, which is unfortunately not the case. But yeah, TQs, you got to stop having these little like topping wicks. I want to see more. I want to see more green in the body of the candle. I want to see us make that wiggle to the upside. So that's looking TQs. Stocks will end up being stronger, but still happy I got out of it because I'd rather have a small W, small stocks W than a big stocks L. That's what I'll take on that. If you don't like the trade, get out. I agree with you, DJK. I don't know though. It's not like it's screaming at me to leave. It's not like a Jordan Peele get out. It's just more of kind of like a whisper, like Adara, there are spirits on the horizon. I'm just gonna leave the trade though. I think I liked it better when I was initially in it. If I can get out of this flat at that 40, 58, 40, I'd be pleased as punch. There's something in the water here. It's like a shark. It's like the Jaws doo-doo, doo-doo music. And I'm not, yeah. Sorry, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. We're just having a good time over here.
Love it.
Apparently we're all long and Sean and Neil are all short, which is pretty funny there. But yeah, I mean, the stocks out long did work out. This TQ long though, as I said, I think we're probably gonna have to take a flip short there. Bless you. What are you looking at?
Bless you, man, Ram. Still, I'm in 3 trades. I'm in DTCK at that VWAP level. Stop is already in place. Going to have to hold this level for me to stay in. We put our stop a little bit below the 146 area, so keeping eyes on that. Tesla is 3 pennies out of the money. We don't have much left on this Tesla trade, but it is awfully consolidative, and I do think that this breaks the 50 period here. So, I'm just waiting for a nice bump up just to, steal a couple of more pennies from TSLA as it kind of does its thing around these levels. And there it goes, breaking down now into that 20 penny area. So we'll take flat on the last little bit there. DTCK, very slow and very lethargic to move up. We're in the money nicely on this one, looking for a 160 print. That will take me out of the majority of the trade there. But the trade that I'm having trouble with the most is AMZN. It is finding support at the previous low, so that 1210 candle, the low that we talked about, it's holding that level, but there it is. And now we're getting a breakdown as the future breaks down aggressively. So unsurprised about that as the market all comes right back down and breaking VWAP. Here comes 18,150. You kind of knew that was just going to come in and bamboozle everybody, but that's just the way trading is, baby. That's just kind of how it is. That's why I got out of Tesla super quick, but we do take an L on AMZN. It is my biggest L of the day and literally like one of my only L's. So AMZN, a bit of an issue there with that. We'll keep tabs on AMZN. We'll see if we can get something off that, possibly to avenge trade it. But I'm keeping my eye on DTCK now. It's the only trade that I have left. So, Brad Gober, you guys are all long. Sean and Neil are short. Yeah, okay, cool. Sounds good. What else we have over here? Let's. Softy is at the 50 period moving average. Good look there. Bouncing off that 410.75 or thereabouts. That's where the dip is on the soft one. I don't personally have a trade, so I'm just going to pack my patience. If you guys want to talk about anything in specific, tag me in the chat. But I'm just going to sit on my hands for now. No trading for me. I don't like anything at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I need to trust my instincts more. That's the thing I'm always saying. And I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this TQ trade at this level, but I'm just going to wait. And, shout out to, I think it was DJK in the chat saying, if you don't like the trade, just get out. That's what I really should have done with the TQs. Learned my lessons, took my licks, but you know what? I'm happy because I got out where I wanted to. You know what I mean? So happy with that. And I did take it short. I did flip it because I noticed that VWAP rejection I want to take. We're going to take this like couple pennies. I want to see what we do with 20 pennies. I want to see 10. I want to see what we do at 58.20. Should we get them? If we break above 58.35, I'm outie. I'm really just trying to have these tight risk rewards. I am down on the day. Unfortunately, lost more than we did on Monday here, which was another losing day. But yesterday was like pretty good. We had some decent trades. I just think that today my issue was, Mullen. I don't know. Why was I even mulling over Mullen? That was just, was I drinking mulled wine when I was looking at that Mullen? No, I'm joking. My brain was not 100% on there. And so I should have mulled over it a little bit longer before getting involved. And then that TQs, again, shout out to DJK in the chat. I felt weird about it. I felt an omen in the stock. And so I should have just listened and left, and I didn't. And that is my L to take responsibility for. That Soxel, speaking of L's, Soxel has been I mean, doing its thing 21, to put it mildly. We had that little move down. Look at that coming back into 39.40. And then it's like, what do you mean we're heading to the downside? So nice look there for SOXL. SOXL definitely living its own best life over here. What are other people looking at? I want to see what else is happening. Reddit after earnings looks bearish on, I'm guessing the daily charts. Let's take a look at our DDT. Will we Reddit and forget it? There were some levels I liked in this earlier, and then honestly, I don't know why I wasn't looking at it, because there were some levels I liked earlier. Yes, okay, I like that VWAP projection at 52s. That's what I liked. Then we come down. This is a flat bottom break. This is a flat bottom break, maybe.
Oh yeah,
we don't know
good
yet.
luck.
Oh, I know I can't short this, so maybe I should have thought about this ahead of time if I wanted locates. But yeah, lower highs here. Peeping and getting ready to break below that 50 area. I think that's a nice look there for our DDT. You know, we're going to have to see what the forums are chatting about, but I think this is a nice look. How are you doing?
All right, I'm looking at NVIDIA because unlike everything else, this one seems to have a lot of strength behind it. So it looks like it's curling back up here. NVDL is probably the method that I should employ to get in on this monster, but it does have that nice 905 2/3 price target if you're interested. That is the break-even level on the day for NVIDIA. Right now, it's down about 1/3%, a little bit less than 1/3%. So looking to possibly get a dip trade here to get a better cost basis rather than chasing it through 903. But it is at VWAP at these levels too, so don't forget that 903 1/3 is the volume-weighted average price, so could have issues with this level, and if it does, then that's a fantastic short, especially if, you know, that kind of previous area of support flips to resistance. We did have support at VWAP earlier around 1030 on NVIDIA, so it has acted as support. Does it act as resistance this time around? We'll have to wait to see if we get a print above that 903 1/3 on a closing basis rather than just a quick wake up and then come back down. So looking for interesting trades on these Mag 7, looking for something on NVDA. If we don't take it on NVDA, I can be persuaded for the long on NVDL because we don't have to worry too much about the shorts, right? Because, well, it's, it's NVDL, right? So you have to pay for shorts there. I'm long goggles at these levels. The reason I got long Google here is because of a VWAP double bottom. So we'll see if we can get some move up into that 169.80 or so. Nice looking double bottom here on goggles. And then you also got to defend of VWAP generally on the future as well. So on the NQ, even though you had that wick that almost came back into 18,150, you did get a nice move back up on VWAP. So not a bad look there. And we'll wet our beak on nice profit there on goggles as it touches that 10 penny level. We'll see if we can continue to move up here. Google long. I'm also long DTCK, and we'll see how that one's doing. Okay, so that one just knocked on the door of my beak wetter and hasn't filled me. The spread is opening up a little bit here. Adair, 3 pennies on a $1 name is not what you want to see, at least not what I want to see. So we did come into $1.60, but alas, we did not get filled. This trade was very straightforward. It was a VWAP retracement trade. We'll look for something a little bit better on that. Google give me trouble. It did fill me at that 80 penny area, but now coming back down below 70. So if it doesn't hold VWAP, I'm going to end goggles there. But lots of stuff breaking down now, guys. Meta breaking down below the volume weighted average price. You have Microsoft as well coming into the 50 period and possibly that 410 area where VWAP is. So be on the lookout for that. What else? We have a VWAP. Looks like rejection right now on NVIDIA as well as it came into that 903 1/3. That's where VWAP is sitting there. So lots of stuff also making moves at the moment. Right now, Amazon, you saw us take an L on the Amazonian, and that's because the market flushed and broke the trend there. It was establishing a pretty, regular range between the 50 period and VWAP, and then we got that decided break to the downside over here, and it hasn't recovered yet from that big move down. So Amazon also in some trouble. We'll keep eyes on both of those. Oh, we did get the nice print there on DTCK. So nice move up there. Where are we? About 10 pennies in the money on this as I'm seeing 162 show up. So yeah, good look here on DTCK. Keep in mind, this one is sub 1 million float, and the bottom can drop off anytime. So if you're going to use a stop on this, it's going to be a limit order. Place a bit of a spread between the trigger and the limiting price just to save yourself some agony there.
Yeah, agony is, I think, a word that describes how the trading's been for me today.
Oh.
And it's like, I know I'm joking. We know I'm always all smiles. I'm always bullish positivity, just making fun little jokes there. I guess agony also would describe your breakfast. Sure, I had to. Yeah, we always gotta
Love it.
shout out. But like, no, that thing is lots of protein and it's tasty.
And now I'm like getting trolled in the morning by you guys because now the breakfast people come a little bit early, right? So we can hear the tray come in. So I hear, and I know my eggs have arrived. So I run back there before Captain Protein gets his hands on all the eggs and usurps them all up, right? So I got to get in there too. So now I'm being like mocked before I've even had a chance to finish my first coffee. So yeah, I'm kidding, of course, right? I actually don't mind.
No, I just think it's so funny that like Sharif's sense of hearing for that tray is uncanny.
I've had to become that way.
It's insane. Like I would hear, he'll be like, oh, it's eggs. And I'm like, pourquoi? But yeah, so I mean, yeah, shout out to you. But I'm feeling another kind of agony. I'm joking. We are down on the day. But you know what?
Okay.
As Cindy Lauper says, don't be discouraged. Let your true colors shine through. Unfortunately, my true colors are a lot of red on the day. But that doesn't mean I'm going to give up.
Fair.
I'm done with these TQs for the time being. I just don't have a good read on them. And that's fine. And you can accept that. I tried to go short. I think the short was a good idea. I did not give myself enough room for the risk. Should have risked at least 10 pennies, risked 5. That didn't work out. Tried to get back in the short. TQs were like, you had your chance, and now the club is no longer accepting any entries. So you know what? Kind of a hater, but that's okay. TQs and I not doing well. I do like this setup for Soxal though. And I know I was saying before Soxal was a really nice looking long, but then I went back to it. I know you were saying NVIDIA kind of swooping down a little bit. Also, I think Soxal has this potential rejection here that we did reject at 39.60s. Now, why is that an area I think is interesting? Look earlier at that little top and turn. That's where I got out, admittedly probably early out of this short earlier, right? I do like, and I've liked it throughout the day, that 39.60 level. That was my initial profit-taking plan for this long before I got spooked out. So I do not think at all that this is necessarily a bad area. Like I said, I'm always a little bit hesitant when we bounce off the 9 EMA, but that's a level I'm trying to give a little bit less credence to when there's other overwhelming factors, like this clear rejection of 39.60. Really happy with where I got in here. We're going to get out 11 pennies here. If we get into 39.40s, that's where I'm going to have, no, 39.43, so 12 pennies. That's where we're starting to take some profit. Then I'm saving pieces for dreams. The dream will I'll probably wake up and take some profit there if we get to 39.30s. Risking into this 39.65 area, so the top of that earlier area of chop and churn. So risking about 10 pennies, trying to make minimum 12. That is a risk to reward ratio I can live with. So please just punch right now with the Soxal. Hopefully it doesn't, sock me out. We don't take another L on that one.
I'm wishing you all the good juju there to print as much as you can. As much printing as is possible.
We're going to be coming to Staples over there. We're going to be such a print shop.
I love it. Yeah, man, I'm seeing Staples like way less now. I don't know about you, but
my friend works at Staples, so I feel like I'm really aware of them, but there's not that many.
A bit different, yeah. All right, I was answering a question there from the Piper. He's like, how come you're using NVDL? So you could use less than 1 share of NVIDIA? I don't have it. I'm surprised you don't have it because I think it trades on, is it the Amex?
It's on the Q.
It's on the, okay, it's on the NQ. So just type in NVDL and your broker should have it. Tag me, the Piper. Who do you have as your broker? Because that's kind of a little bit bizarre there because on my brokerage I have it and I have Interactive Brokers, which is kind of retail, right? We have it obviously here, so yeah. Now what I'm watching on NVIDIA is another retracement into the VWAP. Yes, the VWAP. No, really though. I mean, like here's what I'm seeing. The white line, it's overlapping with the blue, so I'm sorry about that. But you can see it coming from the south side, from the lower side, and coming into the white line and rejecting off the white line. So for now, we don't have a VWAP reclaim, but we need to be alive to the fact that these higher lows mean something. And the fact that we're wicking into the level multiple times now, so almost for 20 minutes, we've been touching VWAP and rejecting, that usually leads to something. It doesn't have to lead to something, but it can lead to something. And that usually is a flat top, not a flat top break, but a break above that key area of resistance. Right here, it is VWAP. Where do we get to? Well, we've got that 905 and 2/3. That is yesterday's closing print on NVIDIA, but that 910 level to me is the level that, is showing a bit more importance. Why? Because we got into that level and we started doing topping tail candles, meaning to me that somebody was either wetting their beak aggressively on some profits at 910 or looking to really get short aggressively at that level. These topping tail candles and that rounded top should have been an indication that this one was going to drop 20 some odd dollars. So good look for NVDA as it dances with the volume weighted average price. You can take NVDL, you can take NVDX, you can take NVDS. These are all equity or not equity. They're like tradable derivatives, not options of NVIDIA, so that you can manage risk a little bit better, right? And that's kind of one thing we look at the firm here is how to manage risk. Now, and so should everybody. But here we get slapped on the hand and put into timeout if we lose too much money. So that's why we take it a little bit more I shouldn't say we take it more seriously, but we're just more alive to it. Anyway, Microsoft coming into the 50 and 2 double bottoms off the 50. The 50 is a solid red line on my chart. So you got initially that rejection off 412.25 coming back down and holds 410. So I'm looking here at the soft one for a possible long, but it really hasn't been the day to take these bounces off key areas, at least hasn't been with my style. So I was hesitant to put an order there for Softy at the 50 period. We'll see. Google as well, we got shaken out of the remaining portion of that trade. We did well on that dip trade, but it's definitely having trouble with VWAP. You can see that. It's breaking it though with that flat top essentially at 170. These higher lows could mean something. We could break through 170 in the more liquid time of day. We have a bit of a gap between that 170 resistance level that we have on the day and yesterday's closing print, which is 171.25. So about $1.25 there for goggles to close the gap if it breaks through 170, down almost 1% on the day, 0.98% I should say. So yeah, that's a look for me. We've been involved in DTCK. We wet our beak. We're still involved in it right now. It's not breaking up near the highs, which is $1.73 right now. We got some profits at 160, but it looks like it is coming back down into the volume weighted average price. We'll have to see if we can eke out any more profits on DTCK. The one that is continuing to head to the high side though and not really looking back is CRCT. I gave you the deets on this earlier. I'll give it to you again. Give me a second here. It is trading at $7.75. The market cap a little bit larger, 1 2/3 billion. The float on this monster is 46 million shares. And let's bring down trade ideas to find out if there is a short float of importance. CRCT. Yes, almost 10% of the float is shorted, 9.66 to be exact. So that's definitely not negligible and something you might want to, keep your eye on, especially if you get into critical areas of resistance on the daily. So it behooves us to look at where these shorts could have been instituted. Well, that $10 area looks awfully delicious because there were so many tops at $10 here. You wonder if, once we came back on that mean reversion from 18 back into 10, that you had people piling hand over fist on the shorts at 10. We'll have to see if this one makes it into $10, what we get. So much do I like this, so I'm going to put an alert. So this ends up being a 2 or 3 day play for these small cap gappers. I'll know about that $10 level. So CRCT continuing to head to the high side, possibly into $8, $7.96 HOD right now on this small cap gapper. Rob EV, how recent is a short data when you look at it? So generally, as a rule of thumb, when we're talking about short data, you gotta assume it's 14 days or more, right? I know that some people have different philosophies on it and they claim to have newer data. To me, I'm always gonna assume it's 14 days or more. So that is a bit of an issue, no question about that, because you're working with older data. However, when you look at a chart like CRCT, and if we can go back to the chart here for a second, guys, you got to wonder, really, has the situation changed all that much? Like there could be newer shorts that were adding at $7 and $6 and $5, but those guys would already be blown out because we already have a 796 high. So the area for the shorts that I'm interested in is going to be essentially from between 8 to 10. I'm of the theory, I have a premise that, you know, probably a lot of shorts at 10 owing to these tops over here. That's number one. So if we're already at $8 HOD right now and we're very close to HOD, then I need to only worry about the shorts who could possibly be short between 8 to $10 because that's really what's going to squeeze. So that's, you know, doesn't really make the date of that as important. So I hope that helps, Rob. What else? Anything else over here? Nothing really tagging me, so good to go.
Yeah, that's a $10 level. At first I was like, delicious. That's a strong word, Sharif. But then I look and I'm like, that is delicious. I don't know what other word you'd use. Also, Sharif just dropped some great words there that I want to shout out. Eeks.
Eeks.
Yeah, eeks out. I love that.
Yes.
One of my favorite words. You also used behoove. I just.
Okay.
We're
I'll
long
take the compliments.
I was
Adele.
down. We're
Appreciate
long
you.
vocabulary. We love made up words and cool real words on this show.
Bang.
If it's a word you don't
We're
hear all the
down.
time, we're down. Also, you know what? The TQs are reminding me of this quote. It is about people, not about stocks, but it's when someone shows you who you are, believe them. And the TQs have shown me that they don't want to do anything except for be a little ping pong ball batting around this like maximum 20 penny range. I'm like, you know, TQs, if that's what you want to do, I can understand that. I'm okay with that. And I'm going to work with you on that. And that's what's happening here. I was really proud we did get that nice little 10 penny short here, coming off that 58.40 rejection into VWAP. Then I got long, flipped long here, got involved 58.30. I want to take this just into the 58.40s. I'm okay with that. We're taking our 10 pennies. This is the type of trading I want to do more of. I love scalps. It's like, if you like scalps and ranges and you see one that's just been like batting its eyes at you all day and you've been playing it not efficiently, and when I say you, I'm talking to myself here, then just try to trade it. That's what I'm trying to do here. Also, shout out to Self-Ability saying pleased as a papaya. Shout out to you. Brad Gober saying AMD bouncing here. I mean, as someone who's in a long, that makes me pretty happy. Yeah, that's a nice little bounce here on AMD indeed. And it's interesting too, we're coming into that. I was mentioning earlier, there's some interesting levels on this guy. AMD 153.20. We rejected this a couple times earlier today. Now look where we're bouncing. That 153.20, a nice little look there. That is for certain. TQs, keep doing your thing, 21 to the upside. We do have that bond auction coming up soon. Thank you, Rob EV. That's the 10-year note. We're going to get that in just 5 minutes for the 10-year. Fastidious, I love that word there as well. Ate too much. Love all these great words here in the chat. UPST, apparently Upstart is getting started up. Ooh, this is one I should have been keeping my eye on. That range was spicy. We broke above that previous resistance level around that 22.35. So that's a nice push up there for Upstart. Hopefully you're involved in that. It sounds like Jamo, so nice look. We also had what Palantir, so people asking about Elon mentioning Palantir coming back up to 22 potentially. Palantir is one that I'm never having I never have a very Palantir read on, but I do think right now there's a couple levels I think are interesting on this. For one, that double bottom, it's not perfect, mind you, but around that 2110, 2115 level, nice little double bottom. Then we have a couple times a little chop and turn around that 2125. Then we get the more interesting levels. There's going to be resistance not once but twice at 2140. Then we get the big boy resistance at 2160. Nice. I don't know if I have a read on this quite yet, but I think this 2160 rejection to short it, it sure is tempting. But I don't want to rush into it. It's not one I've really been looking at all today. So I don't want to just rush in the second I first lay eyes on it because I've had the tendency to do that before to my detriment. Also, this stock sell trade is another example of Adara. Don't question your trades like while you're in them. Question them before you get in. And then maybe you won't get into questionable trades. With that in mind, I was looking at this initially. I thought, we rejected. Then I was like, Adara, we're making higher lows. This could be a flat top break. And I should have got out the second I saw that. I was still able to get out at an area that I didn't dislike, mind you, but it's like my instincts have been so bad. Shout out to Get to DJK in the chat saying if you don't like the trade, just get out. And that's something I really should have done earlier because that did get me a little chopped around karate style in the cues. So I need to trust my instincts a little bit more. They're not perfect, but I'm developing them. And sometimes they do end up helping me out. So I need to be, instincts are a tool that we should be using and not being like, they exist, but I'm going to ignore them. So that's just really just me shutting out myself there. We do have that 10-year coming up, though.
Oh, yeah.
Minutes.
Good call on that. Thank you for reminding me about that, Adara. We always have a bit of volatility there after we get them. I'm putting a dip trade here on NVDL, and it's going to go unfilled, and that's my mistake here. We got yet another 10-period bounce on NVDA, accumulating for a possible VWAP break. I'm going to leave the order at 40s. It's hanging out at 40s, about a 2-penny spread on the name. I'm also interested on a dip trade here on MULN. Okay, so I think I'm going to get into MULN here because it did hold up at the 10 period. 10 period, tried the 50 period, bro. I missed it by a whole 25 pennies, so I was really alive to that. Now we're coming into 7 and VWAP, so I'm worried that we do find some resistance around these levels and flush, so I'm not inclined to chase it here, but I really did like this 675, 680 area for the 50 period moving average, but it is coming into VWAP, and this is a real resistance level. VWAP on my chart is at 708, 709, and that's exactly where we're finding resistance now. We'll have to wait and see if this breaks or not, or whether this is a dead cat bounce and you're shorting the pops from here on in on MULN. It's still up 22.5%. Definitely nothing to sneeze at there, no question about that. So we'll keep eyes on that. Let's see what we're doing here on NVDL. So we're long NVDL, so now let's switch to NVDA, and so this trade is no longer valid if we can make newer lows. I'm going to be looking for accumulation in front of this VWAP possible break. It's a flat top on NVDA, generally not exactly a flat top, but it's a lot of accumulation at VWAP. And the white line is obvious right here where it is, 903.25, 903.5. Generally, we're talking about a $900 name here, so excuse me if I'm giving you ranges, you know, worth 25 pennies or so. The point was that we were getting these higher lows with a flat top, and usually that means an ascending wedge, and an ascending wedge usually it's a continuation pattern in the sense that it should be preceded by an uptrend, but that's not a hard and fast rule. We've seen these ascending wedges end up with a downtrend preceding them and end up moving up. So we'll continue to watch and see what we get on NVDL. Where are we? About 2 pennies out of the money right now as it's printing 38s. I'll be looking for a possible pop through 903.5 if NVIDIA is to break VWAP. See what else people are talking about in the chat here. Here's my favorite rigged market, says Damien Oliveira, is making me chuckle. I know it feels like that sometimes. I mean, yeah, you always feel like sometimes it's against you. Just try not to take it so personally. I mean, the market really is not after you specifically. It's after your money. Let's be real about it. And there we go on NVDL. Go up, baby. So it's not filling me here. So I didn't, yeah, the liquidity is a bit of an issue. So I'm not going to take this crap fill. So I'm going to cancel the fill right here and wait for the actual move up, which is a break through 903.5. Let's not get too carried away here, bro. All right, looking at, I mean, I can't really believe that the futures have been doing what they've been doing, Ram, and that has been very, very tightly bound here, essentially from 11:15 onwards. So we're going on 2 hours here with 18,190 to the high side and 18,154 to the low side. Not too many days have been like this. Typically days where we're like, we have FOMC the next day or something like that, you'll have this type of wait and see range, but what the hell are we waiting and seeing tomorrow? What's happening? Is there happening tomorrow? What's happening tomorrow? ARM reporting after the bell? Everybody's waiting for ARM? No. I mean, there goes the future. Wow, bro. And there goes NVDL. So we do get that drop like we typically do with these what's it called? Auctions. Adair, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, wow. I wish I'd taken more profit. I didn't get to take any profit there, unfortunately, but we're going to take some here. Still have, never mind. We were going to take some there, and then the TQ was like, I'm going to float back up, actually. Sorry about it. Yeah, I wish I'd been a little bit more quick to the draw, but I wasn't expecting this to drop this quickly. I did decide to flip short because I was like, you know what? I think if we're going to have that break below VWAP, we're now poised to have it. Looks like I profited off it, not at all, but that's how this goes. You know what I mean? You have to be more on the draw than I was, which is apparently not at all on the draw. The draw with an R. So let's see, we did get, 4.483% for the 10-year note high yield versus 4.56 expected. Now we come all the way back up. That has to be one of the most bamboozling moments I've experienced, but you know what? You just got to be all smiles. I wish I had been able to take profit there, but you know what? Woulda, coulda, and its friend shoulda. I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do in it. It's all good. I'm staying in this. We're below that 40s area. I am really, sometimes you just gotta bounce back. You just gotta, be the trampoline. We talk about markets bouncing off levels. Why can't we bounce off levels? You got to take those losses,
I'd be fine with
turn them
bouncing.
into mental W's. Even if you missed an opportunity like what I had here, but it's like it's not like I'll gain more by lamenting it. You know what I mean?
Very
I have no
true.
reason to leave. I'm gonna stay in this for the time being. Starbucks, that's the short. That's the missed short here. Look at that. That we had support there, flip into resistance 74.20. Missed that short, but you know what? If we come and have some opportunities to take that short off the 9 EMA, I will definitely take it. TQs are disappointing, but you cannot cry over spilt milk or missed profit-taking opportunities. Let's see what else is going on here. Tesla. Oh, what are you looking at?
I'm just talking about NVDL right now.
Nice.
We were able to take that dip trade into 900 on NVDA, which ended up being about 39.25. So our cost basis is now 27s as it's printing 40s. I wet my beak out at 42, not at 46. Let's go, baby. I'm waiting at 50s. I'm waiting at the $0.50. Print me, baby. Let's go. So we're at 48s here. I'm 2 penny spread, 48, 46. Here come 49s. Come on, 50. There's 50, and bang, we get that. I'm spending the money on this. I haven't spent the money in a while. So I'm happy with this trade here on NVDL, looking for that NVDA pop and gap, baby. And now it's knocking on the door of that 904, 905 and 2/3. The closing print on the monster on the day. So if you are looking for a profit target and you're not weak like me and take them out along the way, 905 and 2/3 is a decent looking PT for NVDA on the 5-minute chart at least. Anyway, so we'll see. 52s it's printing now. We wet our beak there at 50s. Do I have any left? I think I do. Yeah, okay, we got one more out left, and I'm gonna be happy with that. We'll see if we can get a better price here on NVD. Okay, so let me try to make the equation, equivalency here. So 905.5, 905 and 2/3. That's like similar to this 39.70, 39.65. That's about 10 pennies where we're at right now. Here comes 57s. We just printed 56s, baby. We're long 25s here. There goes 60, baby. This is the NVDL. I'm pleased as dang punch on this. And up goes NVIDIA, and I'm going to flatten out the trade here. Very happy with this trade. It's one of my better trades on the day, if not the best one. And that gets me out of a little bit of a trouble. So woohoo! All right, we'll print on that one and be happy. What's going on with you?
I'm so happy for you. That's awesome. Yeah, it might be called NVDL, but we know what Sharif took on that, an NVDW.
Hey.
And it was so excited there. Please just punch for you. I did get it on my TQs there. We had the break above the 58.40s. And you know what? Honestly, like these days are always just, markets are going to do what they're going to do. They do not have vendettas against you. So today is not one of my best days. But like I said, I am always bullish positivity and more opportunities. Man. There's some days where, for whatever reason, you in the market are just in like a bad mood. I'm going to make an analogy, as I often like to do. It's like imagine you're in an on and off relationship with the market. Sometimes you guys are getting along really, really well. Like, they're buying you roses. You're going on like dinner dates to, it's taking you out to some nice restaurant. And then the next, it's like, you guys aren't talking. Maybe it's talking to somebody else. Maybe, it turns out like the receptionist brought you flowers instead of me. Like, how dare you? And you know what? It's the type of relationship that you have to work on every single day. Was this a really labor-intensive analogy? Sure. But do I stand by it? Yeah.
I think you're hitting home. You're hitting some buttons there with Ram, and she's hitting buttons as well too, bro. So yeah, okay. Well, now we know what's going on. Shout out to Ram. But yeah, I absolutely accurate analogy. I mean, sometimes you're fabs, and sometimes you can't stand each other, and you find yourself throwing slippers at not individuals, of course, because that would be an assault charge. But you would throw them at the glass and walls and stuff like that. What is that, Ram?
Oops.
Oops. Okay, I love it. We won't say anything there. But yeah, I've thrown my share of slippers in the day because of these here markets, and thankfully they were not at people. But they were at inanimate objects. There.
Oh, Ramin, put the fail for you.
She wants it at people. She wants all the... Ram, you chose violence today. What's going on? I like it. Okay, some digging to do there with the Ram.
She's in the dark clothes. She's like, no, we're thinking darkness. Yeah, no, I think we're gonna do the lesson. I don't want to mindlessly plunge into the cues, but I do legitimately like this. It's so hard to know if it's like you're getting into a trade because it's a revenge trade or because you really like the level. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's a real thing.
So true.
But also, thank you guys so much for the support in the chat. I really appreciate it. I know that analogy was very strange, but it's just really how I'm feeling right now with these markets. Had a really good day yesterday. So I had my best trade since going live on that Celsius. And today, Celsius, one of my biggest losers. So you know what? Highs and lows, to quote that Chance the Rapper song, but you just gotta roll with the punches and make it happen. Also, making it happen right now is the lesson du jour. Now that I've ranted about a strange analogy about dating the market, let's do some learning. That's what we're all about here. Trading IPO flips.
Google taking
the intraday dance, if you will. Yeah, Google is like, okay, here we go. Trading IPO flips. We talked about IPO, SPACs, and direct listing, but as Sharif says, that can get a little bit talky, so we're just going to say new assets, things that are new to the market or trading in new way on DJT. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Basically, day trading flip is going to be buying and selling the same stock, specifically IPO, SPAC, or direct listing. I know we said we weren't going to say it again, but one more time. Multiple times within a single trading day, and the goal of that is going to be capturing small profits from short-term price fluctuations, and this lesson is going to dive a little bit deeper into that.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Carrie Weaver, for the kind words. I'm always happy to be here with these trades and with these markets here, as much as I did just spend some time lamenting about them. But why do we choose flips with new listings? Well, because they have really high volatility. These events are often going to experience significant price swings due to hype, news, market sentiment shifts, and that'll create multiple entry and exit points. Also, I would actually say they move kind of similarly, in my opinion, to earnings as well. You could have some flips on earnings too, because as traders digest news, calls, there's different areas that you can play off of. So I would actually make a comparison and say there's some similarities between trading earnings and trading some of these IPO names. Obviously not exactly the same, but just in terms of how they move and the intensity of said moves. Also, intraday momentum is also provided by when you're trading these flips with the new listings, because you can give you opportunities for both longs and shorts. Now the art of the flip. Let's talk about that. So here are some things to get in your technical analysis toolbox before you start trading the flips. So first, you want to be charting. Look at the price charts, moving averages like the 50 or the 200-day MAs, and the relative strength index or RSI to identify for potential and entry and exit points. So when you're doing your charting, we're going to be looking for a couple different things. Entry on the uptrend. So if you're looking for the entry in the uptrend, you want to find a price breakout above a short-term moving average, for example, the 20-day, or I love the 9-day with all my heart and soul. And you want to see that breakout above, accompanied by increasing trading volume. And this will suggest bullish momentum. You also, if you're looking for an exit in an uptrend, you want to see an RSI above 70, because that's when it enters overbought territory. Things might be a little bit too hot. You might want to, you want all the smoke, but you don't want that much smoke. So that might be where you have to exit. And then also another way of looking at it is, if you're not using RSIs, look for when the price stalls at a resistance level. That might be a sign, hey, the resistance is in. You got to go, man. So also, you want to look at entry on a downtrend. If that's what's happening, what are you looking for? You want to look for a price breakdown to the downside below a short-term moving average with increasing trading volume. So that could suggest bearish momentum. Exiting on a downtrend is also really key, so you might want to profit take when the RSI reaches oversold territories below that 30 area, or if the price finds support at a key level of previous lows. Yeah, support and resistance are really important too. You might, if it exists, because it doesn't always on these new assets, depending on when you're trading them too, right? Or what chart you use, you want to look for price levels where the stock consistently finds support, potential buy zones, or resistance, potential sell zones. You also want to think about active monitoring. This is also why I feel like this IPO trading week has been really true to my soul, because I love active monitoring. Sharif mentions this a lot. Because I am a scalper, I do not take my eyes off a trade when I'm in it. I'm in a Starbucks right now, and literally one eye is on the slide and the other eye is on that trade. You got to always be cognizant if you're taking these faster moves.
I can
right?
help too.
No,
If you want me to say, tell me if Starbucks at a certain level, I can do that while you're doing the lesson.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Teamwork does make the dream
does,
work.
actually.
And this is, I'm always very happy to be on this desk here with, I think you should be Captain Protein. I feel like Captain Protein should be your title.
I would have liked to have been Captain Protein. I'm
assumed
not
you
going to
were
lie
when I
and
first heard that
pretend
floating
like I
around.
wouldn't. But Ty, he took it, right? He was first. He was quick to the trigger, and he's owned it now. And alas, I can no longer be Captain Protein, despite my. Ram, you sound like you're crawling out of bed. What's going on over there, Ram?
Dethrone him.
Dethrone him.
Yeah, shout out to Ramin, who's always killing it.
She's
I have
always
to
killing
say.
it. Yeah, she's
when we say we have a great team, we mean everybody.
Absolutely. What?
Ramin's like, what's it?
Ram.
She makes us laugh. She's awesome. Shout out to Ramin there. But yeah, so basically active monitoring, you want to be constantly vigilant and aware of things. You also want to be maybe tracking that live price, not maybe, you do want to be tracking live price action, news flow, and order book activity to gauge market sentiment and to identify potential trading opportunities for you to dip your toe in and get involved in these here markets. Discipline and risk management also really important. Maybe small positions, you know what I mean? Don't, like when you're gonna eat a meal, maybe start with like small bites to see if you like it. Same with trading, right? Start with a small percentage of your capital per trade if that's how you trade, or a small amount of shares depending on your strategy and your approach to trading, especially during volatile periods to help manage your risk. Also, you always wanna make sure you have stop loss orders in place at a specific percentage below your entry point, for example, 3 to 5%, to limit potential losses if the price does do a whipsaw action, moves against you there. Also, profit targets are super key. Realistic targets, don't get greedy, and exclamation points here. You want to make sure that you're choosing price targets that are based on your analysis and market conditions, and make sure you're not getting greedy. Make opportunities that make sense to you. Don't try to overstay your welcome, you know what I mean? Because these stocks can kick you to the curb. Just like that. I just had, not an IPO, but I just had that TQ trade where if I'd been faster on it, we could have been 20 pennies in the money. I ended up losing on it. You know what I mean? I'm actually happy I had that trade because it taught me something. You have to be fast and you have to be quick on things. Someone is pleased as punch, but we'll find out the details on that in a couple of seconds here when we're done this lesson.
Bang.
Trading strategy. So you have trend following, right? That's what Sharif likes doing. If you've got a clear uptrend or a downtrend emerging, you want to make sure you're trading in the direction of the momentum, buying in dips and uptrend, and selling in rallies and downtrend. So dip buy, rip sell, as I like to sometimes call it. Mean reversion also, shout out to Obi who likes doing this type of trade sometimes. If you've got the price deviating significantly from its recent average, support or resistance, you might be aware of that potential reversal and trade accordingly. And again, we're going to talk about that buying the dip and shorting the rip. Then also, scalping is going to be pretty key here. Someone on this desk might be a fan of scalping potentially, I don't know. I don't always do it to the best effect, but I do love scalping. So scalping is basically executing multiple small trades throughout the day based on very short-term price movements, identified by indicators like Bollinger Bands or MACD. Now, last but not least, I added this one, but I think it is really important to note it's not always going to be present in IPOs and new stocks, and that is going to be support and resistance. But you can find it on a 1 minute, for example, in IPOs, which is what I think I was doing, and I know you were also doing when we were trading that Reddit IPO day one. If you have a certain key level that's continuing to appear on the chart throughout the day, you might want to consider taking trades off of it, so going long at support or short at resistance. But support and resistance can flip too, so that can give you extra opportunities. Let's say initially you're taking this bite at the apple in a trade, you're taking it short, then the level ends up flipping. I'm just like, hey, go long, you know what I mean? Gives you opportunities both ways. Crafting a trading plan is also, of course, key and something I want to get better at for sure, and I think we all do, but it's especially important if you're going to get into something that can go as awry and move as willy-nilly as an IPO or a new stock. Have your target. To identify the type of IPO, SPAC, or direct listing you're going to look at. You're looking at for a high-growth tech company. You're looking for a longer-term play, a shorter-term play. What is the vibe? What's the mood? Once you have that, you want to look at technical analysis. So outline specific indicators you're going to be eyeing for entry and exit signals, moving averages, RSIs, support and resistance if when applicable. Risk management, always applicable though. Look at your stop loss and define your stop loss, and we're going to have a sip of coffee, and your profit target percentages per trade. Trade sizing also really important there too. You want to determine the percentage of your capital you allocate per trade before you get into the trade. Monitoring tools you should be using here. Like, figure out what resources you want to use to track price action, news, and market sentiment. If you're doing a new IPO too, make sure you have the book or the chart open before it opens, so that you can see when it starts moving. There's that video of us on TikTok losing our minds when Reddit opens. Remember, Sharif showed me that after they posted. I'm literally like, I think this is the same blazer I wore for the Reddit IPO open too. It's actually crazy. I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah. But yeah, because I remember that video you showed me, and I'm like, you have to have the book and
there was another video of us the other day. Did you see that? When we hit the 450.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
I was like,
that one.
oh
We're
my God.
Yeah, we have good times over here. Also, trading journals can be a good time because it can remind you of how your performance went. Did you like what you did? Did you not like what you did? And you really want to reflect and be aware and see how you can improve and refine your strategy. And if you want a little extra credit here, look at some advanced technical indicators like Bollinger Bands or MACD to identify some reversals. How are you looking?
I did well on the softy trade. I'm happy with it. We got long at the 50 period. That was the whole idea here. So I'll show you the 5-minute look. The soft one was bouncing for the most part off the 50 period. Save and except for this one candle over here. That was the release of the auction. And so you had an outlying move. But for the most part, you saw here, you held the 50 period quite well on Microsoft, which precipitated me to get into the name. And so we got in at 91s, and then we wet our beak there almost into the 20s. Not quite. We got 18 prints there. So not a bad look. Almost a 30-penny winner there on Microsoft. But good move up here. Coming into that previous area of resistance, though, for whatever reason, 411.30 has been acting as that level. But shout out to Jay Lee. So he tagged me in the chat. He said, look, CGC looks like it's good under $9. Thoughts? Seems like to bounce off 890 for a decent 50+ cent upside potential. Thoughts? So I had a look at, this is CGC right now. This is the 30-minute chart on CGC. Okay, so let's put it in the ticker so everyone can follow along. And here's what I see, Jay. I mean, 890 is actual LOD on CGC. Let's go to the 1 minute super quick to see if we touched it. We only touched it once, Jay. And that was, yeah, we were touching the Bollinger Band, but we were, yeah, there's really not much to say with respect to that on the 1 minute. Okay, so 890 is the low. Kind of hard to base anything off one print. So that's why I went to the 30, and this is what I saw. So before we had that break on April 30th, when we got news the Department of Health and Human Services was getting their way, and that the DEA was going to not declassify, but reduce the classification from a Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, we got that big pop-up. So before we got that big pop-up, Jay, the top there had been around 8.5. At the real highs there at the open at around 10:30, we got to 9 3/4. So I'm not really like, look, it's a gap close, Jay. I mean, that's kind of what I see, right? And that's not bullish. That's quite bearish, unless we do get, you know, a decided bounce off this level. And what I mean by gap close is that April 30th pop that we got through, broke through $9. We got to about 15 3/4, almost 16. And now we're literally going to close the entire gap from the price where we broke out from on the 30th. So maybe not 8.5, 8 2/3. We're awfully close to that. I get that 890, but I'm not going to buy off these lows. Shout out to you, though. I'll keep my eye on CGC. We'll look to bamboozle some more trades. He's like, yeah, okay. Marcelo Sharif, Madrid or Bayern? Look, I do not subscribe to this, you know, trend that I've seen other people do where you cheer for the team that eliminated you. No, no. I hate the team who eliminated me, right? They keep me up at night. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to cheer for Bayern. I hate Harry Kane. As a former Tottenham player, there's no way in good conscience as an Arsenal fan I can ever cheer for a team that has Harry Kane as a main striker. So by virtue of that, I'm going to go a la Madrid, baby. We're going to cheer for Madrid on this one. And who could you know, not want Ancelotti to win, man? I think Ancelotti's an OG and definitely one of the more underrated coaches. I know he's coaching for Real, obviously, and so by virtue of that, you could say he's not underrated, but he doesn't get the due credit I think some of these other bigger coaches like Pep and some others, Jurgen, get. I like Ancelotti. I think he's a hell of a guy, not really outspoken like some of those guys are. So I'm going Real. And yesterday, that was insane. I couldn't believe that Dortmund eliminated Paris. Bye-bye, Kylian. And then the funny part was after they asked Kylian Mbappe, who's he cheering for, Bayern or Real? And everyone knows he's going to Real Madrid next year. So he kind of chuckled on that. I saw that on social media. I thought that was hilarious. So shout out to Madrid. I think they probably actually beat Dortmund. If they beat Munich today, I think they handily take Dortmund in the finals. And we'll have to see how that ends up working out. So that's the look there. All right, Jay Lee goes on to say, with respect to my my analysis on CGC, he's like, yeah, I'm thinking there is still residual strength on CGC due to the schedule change news still in play. I like it, Jay. I don't think you're wrong on that. I just think at the end of the day, for weed to really catch fire,
Light up.
yeah, you're going to need federal legalization. And we don't talk politics on this show, but I just don't think you get federal legalization if the Republicans have any sort of power in the House or sorry, in the Congress or in the White House. I just don't think it's a priority for them. You're going to see that from the Dems, though. We'll have to see what November brings.
Yeah, I guess they might not want all the smoke.
They don't want all the smoke. They've made it very clear
none of the
that
smoke.
it's not a priority for them to have the smoke, right? So.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, speaking of substances, right now I'm in another caffeine name.
Speaking of substances.
And I didn't know how to make that transition. I'm in Starbucks. I am pleased as dang punch. I took out, I did not really, oh, it was funny. I got short here because I did like that we were coming into that previous resistance and rejecting just a skosh. I liked that. Got out most of this position, 2/3 at that 73.80 area. I should have taken everything out there, but you know what? We're gonna save pieces for dreams. I have a scintilla of shares left here. I want to see us continue to make these lower highs and lower lows. If we do, I'm happy to stay, but I feel like I probably have overstayed my welcome. I am so proud of this TQ trade though. Earlier today, I was saying, sometimes it's really hard to know if you want to get back into a name if it's burned you before, and if you just haven't had a good read on it. But it's like, to me, and you can tell by how many times I tried to go short in this, to me, this has been building all day, this TQ short FVU up. That's what the market wanted. And today, right now, the market's like, you know what, Adara? You're going to get that short. I want to see us break below 58s. If we can't break below 58s, I'll get out. But man, this looks pretty sweet here in these TQs, and I'm really proud of myself for holding out. I didn't see any news to explain that little droop there, but yeah, we're pushing back up. I do not love this. As long as we stay below 58.10s, I'm going to stay in this name. That also did help my Starbucks short. So there we go. Starbucks getting caffeinated to the downside. Give it a venti size there. That's a nice look. We're going to get out of the TQs here. I'm okay with that. Pleased as dang punch. Really proud of myself. Still down on the day, mind you. It's not like, one good trade could alleviate a whole afternoon of very questionable moves, but I'm just proud of myself for, I'm going to be honest. This really hurt to take this short, not punch out quickly enough and lose on it. That was a hard trade to take. That was during the bond auction, but it's like you cannot define yourself by one trade, one good trade or one bad trade. Because, everything's the sum of its parts. Your trading is going to be the sum of its parts all day. Today, the average was meh. Did not do that well today, but I'm happy I stuck with it. Happy I stayed looking at these cues and found an opportunity that worked for me. Gus Phillips, 199 super chat. Will Clove pull a big move like my baby Root? Reminds me of Baby Groot from the Guardians of the Galaxy. But yeah, we'll take a look at Clove there in a second for that super chat. Clove already had earnings. Like I said, I still think that area on Clove is the 89 cent level. I was mentioning this one earlier because we did have that little bit of a move down, came up, resistance, felt it, continuing to push higher here. I think that could be a nice break. Right now, though, on the daily chart, I still think we need that move above 90, especially because that was support earlier.
All right. Just looking over here at some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
1 second. Yeah, that's not important to me. Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm just looking at my watch list to see if there is any outsized movers. And I saw here, obviously, a firm down 10.5%. That's obviously because of the earnings miss there. You can see a firm just printed day lows not that long ago. 31.14. Dang, son. That's not a good look. Upstart as well, down into the right from yesterday, but recovering a little bit here. So you can see that Upstart sold off aggressively in the aftermarket yesterday. And by the way, for anybody who's wondering why Upstart was halted in the aftermarket, because this right here, these are halts. And Upstart has this tendency to always expect bad earnings, and they've done this multiple times in the past where they ask the exchange to halt their stock right at earnings and basically allow it to trade once they release the earnings at some random time, right? Yesterday it was 4:35. In the past, it was like almost like 10 to 5, 5 to 5, something like that. So, I mean, I don't know what they're trying to achieve by this, thinking that maybe it might not sell off as much. I mean, it tanked. Look at that, where it closed at 24.72 and it went all the way down to 90, barely held 19.75. So I don't know what they're looking to achieve by doing that, but they've done that multiple times. I was just talking to Neil about it today. Anyway, on the day, they're holding VWAP quite nicely. So not really a recovery or anything like, it's not a gap fill, but for whatever reason, it's been bouncing either off the 50 period here, which is the red line on my chart, or the volume weighted average price. So Upstart putting in higher lows and even higher highs. So a bit of an upward channel here ever since that big initial move on Upstart at the open. So we'll keep eyes on that, see if anything is good to go. Weed names are all weak, save it except for the ETFs. And I kind of don't get. You have the MSOX up 4 1/3, MSOS up 1 1/5, or 1 1/2, excuse me. And you've got all the other weed names in negative territory. So unable to kind of resolve that in my mind unless there's some components there that are not on my watch list. Looking down the watch list, seeing what else is moving. Shopify obviously getting punched in the face quite aggressively today. Look at that move down and to the right. We were watching this happen live this morning here in the firm because Neil, Adara, and I and Brendan are all here in the morning. This one really tanked off that 79 and it ended up bottoming out there at 62, but it ended up making more lows into 60 2/3 low of day right now on Shopify. Yeah, very, very consolidative, and the volume really has dropped off since the market open. There does seem to be an area bottom here at 61.50 or thereabouts. That area bottom has moved up a skosh from 61.50 into 61 2/3, so 66-ish now, with either the top being the volume weighted average price, which is currently trading at 62 1/5, 62 1/4, or when you get really gangster, you can get up to here, 62 3/4, 62 2/3. Shout out to Jag, who's trolling me back there, undefeated. Jag, I love having that guy back there, man. Good vibes, Jag, that's for sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we'll see what we get. Oh, Ian Rispetto. Okay. $4.99 super chat. Shout out to Ian Rispetto, one of the OGs in the chat, been with us a long time. Tonight, ARM is reporting after the bell. Any insights you can give into what you may think on it? I like ARM. As a company, I think what they are offering is very novel. They have chips that are specifically made for mobile devices that use less energy, especially with batteries being like a major thing now, holding range back and holding cell phone usage or cell phone use time. Anything that helps conserve battery life is aces in my book. Whether or not they're overvalued, let's have a look and see what the situation is on ARM. So let's open up the Fundamentals Explorer here and have a look. So let's go to their key ratios. And so they're trading at a cool 208.91 PE. So I can tell you that it doesn't say it here, but the industry standard is not going to be 208. It's probably going to be something like 20 or 30 at the most. So the fact is, it's trading far higher above that. And then you can see all the key ratios here. So if you're looking from a fundamentals perspective, it's a bit of a tougher look. Now let's have a look at the technicals. So let's flip to the daily on ARM and see what the situation is. These horizontal lines are the fib lines. And the reason I drew the fib lines here, I wanted to see how much of the move after earnings last time, because you'll remember earnings were early Feb. They were February, I believe, 7th. How much of that move from $70 to $165 did we give back. And we almost gave back almost 80% of the move there, because this is 73% retracement over here. And we've recovered now about 63% or 66%, 61.8% we're at right now in terms of where we are initial to the that breakout move, back at $110. We're below the 50, Ian, as well. You do have an interesting area of support, probably resistance now at 120. Look how many times on the daily we come into 120 on ARM only to defend that area. So if we've defended it for that long, you assume it could be a little bit of a resistance area there if you make your way back up. It's also the 50% area on the fibs as well, just a little bit below that 120. Yeah, so how they do on earnings, obviously, that's not for me to decide. But technicals, I'd say keep your eye out on 120 as a resistance level. If you're above that, use it as support. And then basically look for this top end break here, $80 to be an interesting level of support as well if you do miss. So if we have that 110 high today, look for 80 possibly to be an area of support on ARM. I hope ARM does well. I think they're a good stock.
Yeah, we're going to have to find out if they strong arm the market.
Uh-huh.
If they're still the long arm of the law.
Yeah.
They get their arm torn off. I'm going to stop just making very rote arm-related puns there. There was one I thought of this morning, and I forgot about it. And anyways, if I remember that arm pun, I will remember. But SBUX, right now, really proud of what happened here.
Nice.
Took out some of this profit at that area of 73.80. Then I saved a piece for the dream. Initially, I was like, dare I get out? But then I was like, you know, if I still like that resistance level of 73.97, it comes back in, why not add? So I did add. I'm going to take everything out, though, at 80s. This resistance level proving itself to be a little bit more firm than I initially thought. We're gonna have to see what we do, because I think we're getting back to the series. Things are getting spicy. Also, thank you guys, everyone in the chat, for the support for that TQ trade. I was really proud of what I did with this, because I did have a lot of losses on the TQs, and I'm still down on the TQs a little bit just because of those earlier missed trades. But it's like, sometimes regardless, no stocks, they don't personally care about your feelings. They don't care if you want to do well. They don't care if you're doing badly. They're just going to do what they do. And so I think, with that in mind, obviously, initially these trades didn't work, but I saw this level I liked, and I didn't want to not take it because I was burned by some earlier TQ trades. So, yeah, I have to say, proud of what happened there, and, always so happy to be part of this community that I think is so supportive, so awesome, and honestly proud of myself. I was initially down, still down in the day, but I was initially down a lot more. Still not like an egregious amount, but you just got to sometimes dig yourself out of a hole by finding strategies you like and not being too hard on yourself. Because you know what I mean? Like, the markets are going to be hard enough on you already. You need to have that calm. You need to be your own calm in the storm that is trading. With that being said, TQs, if you keep projecting that 58.20, I might short you again. I don't know. You watch out, TQs. You better watch out. Yeah, I am going to get short here. So, yeah, that's really what I've been looking at. Just a few things. I want to take this small position. If we break above this 20 area, I'm going to have to say Audi and leave. Starbucks trying to break below. I think if Starbucks breaks below that 80s area, it's going to be beautiful. But I don't know if we'll get that. We might just get, a small frappe instead of a nice big caramel macchiato to the downside.
I like it. All right. Keeping an eye on Meta here, because we had a VWAP retracement into Meta, and we actually rejected off that 471 3/4, coming back down now into 471 1/4. META has been stronger-ish on the day. I don't want to call it the strongest of the bunch, or is it? Meta is up 0.63. Netflix is not a Mag 7 name. Netflix, the best in the business today in terms of these large cappers that you want to call them the Mag 8 or whatever, 1.11%. Meta, second place, up 0.71. Alas, it is at 472 or thereabouts. That is the level that I've been earmarking for a possible short on Meta after that 469.5 dip that we aggressively sold out on at the release of the auction there. So 472, I could definitely be persuaded to short there. Now, the question is, we already had a 472 touch, and we retraced. So is the trade done here? Is one time the only shot that I can get at this? We're definitely still nearer VWAP than we are near these lows. I would say to you, don't be too aggressive with this short. If you end up getting short at 471 3/4, 471 2/3, look to take profit in front of 470 1/4. So, I mean, you do have 470 prints. You even have 469 and a third print. But look where the closing prints are. They're all at that 470 1/4. So I would, rather take profits around there to ensure a fill. 470 1/4 for the short to cover. 471 2/3, 471 and 3/4 for the entry into this name. It's at neither one right now, kind of no man's land at 471 1/3 right now. Decent spread though on Meta. I haven't seen it 4 pennies before today. I saw it as wide as 20 some odd pennies. So the spread tightening up, it looks like here a little bit on META. The other trade that's doing right now is this 900 on NVDA. Look at what's happening right now. We're at 900 on NVIDIA, but we're doing these bottoming tail candles where we wick below 900 and then get bought up. You're not going to see me buy at these levels here, but I want to see exactly what we do. If we hold it, we put in another 5-minute candle to make a new high above the previous 5-minute candle, then it'll look good. Then we could start saying, getting it on the back end or whatever, curling up. And then maybe we could touch that 905.5 that we got to a little bit earlier on that pop when we had that short on NVDL. So we'll see what we get here. 900, an interesting area on NVIDIA, but it's a recycled area. We've been above and below it multiple times today, both in the pre and after the bell. So don't assign the same weight that you would assign that 900 level on NVIDIA had it been the first touch or even the second touch. We've been there multiple times today. All right, so that is the look for NVDA. Meta still doing the dance with no pants right now at the volume weighted average price. That's at 471 3/4. Amazon though, look at the Amazonian. The Amazonian has been awfully weak today, almost 1% down, bless you. And it has been finding either resistance at the 10 period on the 5 or the deeper ones, as you can see here. And I'm going to say this all the time because it's factually true. The deeper retracement go into the 20 EMA, and there you go. You got a nice, what is this, 187.26 touch, and now you're 26 pennies in the money, knocking on the door of that 186 level and 187 level, excuse me, and it just broke there. But you got to look at the bigger picture. There does also seem to be support at 187 locally in the same way that there was resistance at the 10 and the 20. All the 187 bounces, are quite obvious here from 1 o'clock onwards. So we'll continue to watch AMZN and see if we can weasel our way into any trades there. Nothing else for me at these levels. I see NVIDIA's reclaimed 900 again, not by a whole lot. So we'll keep eyes on that. Let's check out these small cappers, the ones that we were yapping about earlier. DTCK, we had that VWAP dip and pop into 160. That's since all done there. It's broken down aggressively below VWAP. Look at this. This is why I say these are around for a good time, not a long time, and gives up the ghost as quickly as the ghost came into the house there at $1.36 right now off that 150 entry that we had earlier. That's looks like it's done. MULN. Now, this is an interesting one. So this gave up VWAP at around 1240, but it didn't give up the entire move because it came into the 50 and then decided, I'm going to respect the 50 today, and it gives you a nice ride off that 6 3/4 into 7 1/4. So you can take in 50 pennies on a $7 name. Not a bad look, especially intraday. It is below VWAP now. Putting in higher lows though, so not coming into the 50 quite yet. So that could be some foreshadowing something here for a 7 hold possibly here on MULN and a flat top or break through the double top there at 7 1/4, 7 1/3. So Mullen, I think, is still in play. In the same way that I feel CRCT still in play, this one has been kind of, it's been tough to trade because the volume has been a little bit wishy-washy on it. We had volume initially, then we had a completely dry period from 10 o'clock till essentially 1 o'clock. Now you can see the volume's picking up again, but something maybe at 755, 760, get a VWAP dip on this one. Not exactly sure how to weasel my way into this trade, Adara. I see that we held 5,200 here on the ES. It's so funny, because I chart the ES in the morning on the big desk, and then I don't feature it the entire day. It's like, I wonder why I don't chart the NQ at the big desk, because that's the one I'm really trading off,
it is
right?
weird because you don't, I saw you trade the ES futures once.
Because Arun used to chart the ES.
Oh, that's why.
So when I took over charting in the morning from Arun in the morning, I just continued what he was doing. He was charting the ES. But I never trade the ES. I always look at the NQ, which is funny.
That's interesting. Oh, I never thought about it. I never realized you, because I always, I think, assumed you charted both the NQ and the ES at the big desk, but you don't.
I don't. Chart the ES when I get here. I'm the NQ, excuse me, when I get here. Anyway, what are you looking at over there?
Right now, I'm looking at a future, the NQ, that is trying to get back up a little bit here, back to the future, but not in the way I want. I want back to the future to the downside. We did have, I like that short initially. We got a couple pennies out of this. I didn't punch out because I had a pretty small position. If we decisively break up above this 22, 23 area that we're dancing with right now, I'm going to be out. I did get out of Starbucks. This is my best name of the day, and I'm really proud of what I did with this trade. Initially got into, and honestly, I think Starbucks, you know, I literally had the Beauty and the Beast song on my head, tale as old as time. It's like all the things we talk about when we trade. Support, resistance, VWAP, 9 EMA, levels, like everything coming to the party here for Starbucks. You had that resistance earlier, or sorry, that support earlier at 74s, flip into resistance. That's where I get short. And I got short during the lesson, which is not something I normally do. And I think that shows how much I like this look. Ooh. I was like, you know what, I'll keep an eye on it. I'll be cognizant, whatever, and just see what happens. I am getting out of my Qs here because I didn't like that move above. Lost a couple pennies there, really small position. Happy I took it because I did like it at the time. Now back to Starbucks. So I get involved, I get part of my coffee cup filled here, 2/3 of my shares at that previous area of resistance. Super proud of this. Resistance becoming support. And it did become support for a bit. Kept 1/3 of my position in there. I said, you know what, Adara, see what happens at 74s. We were just to get at 74s. I said, Adara, I think you owe it to yourself to refill your cup again, have some more shares. So I did. And then I got out here at 70s. I ended up getting the rest of it. I wanted to wait for a VWAP break, but then we had that nice little bounce back. I got a little bit nervous. Got everything out here. Really happy with how this trade went. I feel like very, much like Starbucks gives you caffeine, I feel energized by this trade. And I feel like this is the type of trade I need to be taking more of. I know I say that a lot. I think the biggest issue is going from recognizing what's working and actually putting in the steps to make trades that work. But I am proud of this trade. And I was happy that I took it. A little bit disappointed about that last TQs trade, but it happens. You lose a little bit, but and it doesn't, negate. I think your losing trades don't negate your winning trades either. You know what I mean? Just like your winning trades don't negate your losing trade. It's a big mosaic of ins and outs.
I like it. Meta's going, and I'm happy I didn't take the short at VWAP, and that's why we waited and didn't jump into that too quickly. But now I tried to put several dip trades on Meta before it starts pumping here, and none of them have gotten filled. And I got a couple of wicks in, but the spread was too wide. It started opening up again. I think it was 24 pennies when I did get the wick. So Meta is doing things here. It's off the bottom there, essentially at 469.5, and now we're knocking the door 473. So a good rounded bottom recovery for Meta, and Zucky and his boys looks like they're near that pivot resistance level 1, which is hanging out on my chart at 473 1/3. We're awfully close to it right now. I'll leave my orders be. I think that they're still valid if we come down. Am I looking for VWAP to get defended? We reclaimed VWAP. We had VWAP as a level of resistance almost, not all morning, but essentially from 12:30 till about right now. So if that was a resistance level, if we clear it, we're using it now as support. And that's why my orders are still in play. We'll have to wait and see whether this is just a topping till, wham, bam, thank you, VWAP, and then we break down below, or what the situation is going to be here. So watching intently on Meta. We did have a VWAP break on the future moving into 18,172. But I'm going to tell you, the future has been quite bamboozling today, for the exception of the lower highs and the lower lows that it's been doing. Otherwise, if you try to play horizontal levels and not diagonal levels, you have been, you got hurt a little bit on this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you were trading futures. Sorry about that. Yeah, I didn't mean to mention that. But this is kind of what I see here. So the constant on the future today on the NQ has been a downward channel. I mean, like I was looking multiple times at VWAP to get in on the future, but all these wicks take you so deep below VWAP. I mean, or above if you're looking to short that it wasn't reasonable to do it that way. You had to play this diagonal range. So really depending on whether you saw that or not, or you pulled the trigger on that or not. So we'll continue to watch and see what happens there. All right, let's go back to see what Meta's doing because I still have my dip trades intact. Nice topping tail candle in the 473, 472 and a quarter coming in here on META. I'm sitting at 472.05 and 471.77. I want 2 dips possibly into Meta here, but I am worried about this topping tail candle that it's putting, which I do not like, especially when you add it to the future and what we've been doing here on the future, but putting in lower highs. So I am a little bit concerned about that. So there's that analysis there. The other one is AAPL, the dead one, is coming in into another local high. 182 and 2/3, 182 and a half-ish, bit of a double top there midday. We printed that 1210 and 1220, and we haven't been up there since. So keep your eye on that area, local area of resistance, if it is to get filled, or sorry, not filled, get taken and broken above. 183 is essentially HOD. It's 182.96, and that was on the IB high, so we haven't been up there since the opening print on the day. So that's a look there. Not much for me other than this possible Meta. Oh, and I am not long now Meta, so I'm long at 472s. So decisions, and we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, best of luck to you. Yeah, no, it's all seriousness though. Hope the trade's going to go well. Hopefully you get that double tap. That trade with the like button there, that analogy works better in my head.
All good.
But yeah, no, shout out. Yeah, hopefully there's going to be another Staples print factory over here. Also, I took the TQ short again. Also, yes, so the reason I made that sound, I was just really agreeing with Sharif's analysis that these TQs were so hard to trade today, or the Qs or the future, however you trade the futures, the NQ futures today, it was a whole move. It was dicey. It was spicy. It was unkind. It was like me eating a spicy chicken, just didn't work. But it was, eventually you did get those moves. And now we've had that decisive VWAP rejection, which is why I got short this again. Also, REN in the chat asking if Dell is a bear flag on the 5-minute. And you know what, REN, bull flag. I have a couple things to say. I don't think it's a bull flag because I think it was a proper bull flag. I think we'd have more of this consolidation immediately after. It looks like we just tried to have kind of this continued upward momentum that we really ran into a massive hurdle at 130-160. We come back down, but I will tell you, I don't think hope has lost REN. Look at this bounce off VWAP. We've had higher highs, higher lows for the most part, bouncing off VWAP, bouncing off now the 9 EMA. I don't think this is a bad look, but my reason I hesitate to call it a bull flag is just because I would say we had that move up than we came to rest at VWAP. It is still a bullish look for me personally. Again, not advice, just my take on the chart. I think if we start making these lower lows, or if we dip decisively below this VWAP area, that's where things get spicy. I would also definitely be watching out for that 130-160 level. That is such a clear area of resistance to me that I think if we break above it, things get dicey. Yeah, shout out to you, Joanna Brewster. Yeah, I always just like making my puns. I'll keep making my puns. It's a good time. Always happy to be here, punning on this desk, having some puns, fun and puns. Also, AMD, I pulled up. I know you trade this sometimes, Joanna Brewster, which is why I thought of this. And also, I know some other people were mentioning this. The level I kept mentioning on this is someone's so excited. And I'm gonna clap for him there. AMD has been having a moment at this 153 area. We reject it, 153.30, we reject it, then we bounce off of it, then we reject, now we're trying to curl up above. AMD, I don't know, hopefully it's not doing any AM damage, but I think much like the TQs, it's been a bit of a very tricky range trade that you have to, be cautious about. Right now, though, it looks like it wants to break above that 153.30 area. Also, you know what I just realized? We're always making Zuck puns for Meta. We don't give Eduardo Severin any respect over here, or the Winklevoss twins. Oh. I realized we're making all these puns about Zuck. I'm like, Eduardo, what about these Winklevoss twins? Mm-hmm. But I get, hopefully, we're Winklevossing with happiness on that Meta trade.
I like that.
But how are you doing here?
We did well. We took 30 pennies on that initial move. I didn't get filled on my full position. I was going for doubles on this monster. So we got 472.03. I was also sitting at 77s. So we'll see if we get filled there, maybe make its way right back down into 77s. I wet my beak there at 30s for some profit, so I took a nice 30 penny winner. I could have taken out more, I guess, really at that pump into 50s, but that really wasn't the move. The move was to look into that 475 area or wait for your entire position to get filled so you got bigger boy size, right? So I'm packing my patience here, seeing if Meta will touch that 473 general area. It's been the stronger name on the day. I see also the future is right above the volume weighted average price. It's also below 18 too. So, you know, I mean, it's still putting in lower highs. There's no doubt about that. Keeping an eye on that. Not much else to talk about. Keeping an eye on that Apple double top that could be brewing at 182.5. 182 2/3. Keep that on the lookout. There was 2 5-minute candles at 12:10 and 12:20. I'm looking at the 10-minute chart. That's my mistake. Yeah, so we had on the 10-minute chart, there was 12:10 and 12:20, a bit of a double top. We're coming right back into those levels on AAPL. Look for, yeah, here we are. We're right at those levels on Apple. So this could be very interesting here on AAPL, especially because it's been so dead on the day. But this could also foreshadow something. These higher lows that we've been incrementally putting in. Do we get this 182 2/3 break? Break and hold, not just break. Oh, wow, there it goes on AAPL. We were asking if the break and hold was going to happen. Well, we got the break. Now we got to get the hold. 182.71 right now, local high. Looking at that 183 in the face, 182.96 HOD on AAPL. But look at that topping tail candle coming fast and furious. People are getting short around here, you can tell, or profit taking, whatever the situation is. So we'll have to see if Apple can continue to pamp to the high side. Otherwise, we want no part of AAPL. Well, we may short it, so we may want some of Apple. We'll wait. So I'm watching Apple right now. I want to see what it's going to do. I'm in Meta as well, 30 pennies, some odd in the money, looking for that 473 or 474 touch. We'll see what we get there. The incredible Mr. Lib. What do you think of this bounce on Upstart? I kind of analyzed it already. It's kind of hugging VWAP a little bit, right? You know, to me, Upstart is an intraday trade only, especially with the disaster of its earnings report yesterday. So trade it off key levels of support and resistance, whether you're using technicals or actual price action support. But a good recovery, no question, this morning from the bottoms there, Dara, on Upstart. You okay?
I'm just looking at Upstart. I pulled it up. It just had a nice pop there.
There you go.
Crazy.
That's probably what he's talking about.
Yeah,
Look.
I was like wondering what, like, you know, it's a very nice look there in Upstart. It certainly got started up there. Want to be starting something, singing that Michael Jackson song to itself. So want to be up starting something. But yeah, nice look there in UPSD. Let's look at Affirm.
Eek.
Oof. Yeah, Affirm's down to the dumps. Affirm probably is in the infirmary for being hurt by getting shorted so much. We're SSR on this guy now. We're below 10%. We're more than 10% to the downside.
Thanks, son.
Just kind of, this is when I trade sometimes, but there's just no levels on this. You know what I mean? It's just kind of a slow stutter step to the downside. TQQs, though, speaking of levels, and that, you know, I do very much agree with your analysis earlier of the weird diagonal movements of this one. Anthony Kerr said trading the Qs today was like doing a CrossFit workout. Literally. They made you work for it. They were moving in diagonal ways. You had to keep catching your breath. Every time you think you know what's going, it's like, no, you've got to switch stations now. HIIT, now you're onto this station. I'm like, you know, TQQs. Give me a clue. They wouldn't, though. They don't call it TQQ clue. Let's put it that way. But right now, I did add to this position. I did like that VWAP projection. I felt okay with it, so I did want to add a couple shares. Not a huge add. If we break above 40s, I'll get out. But I'm trying to get more confident in just seeing something I like and trying to get involved. Obviously, that doesn't always work out. I'm mulling earlier today for myself. But I think developing instincts is really important, and I think that's one of the biggest things I'm working towards. So am I up on the day? No, but I feel like I learned so much, and I think one of the biggest is just trusting your instincts. Earlier, I should have gotten out. Again, shout out to, I think, DJK in the chat, just saying, if you don't like the trade, get out. I should have gotten out of some of these trades earlier when I wasn't really feeling my oats in them. Just figure it out and work with what works for you, because you're the one who's trading what you're trading. I am now speaking in circles, and with that in mind,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean,
that made sense.
Yeah, it did. I mean, I know where you repeated. That's fine. But
Yeah.
the point is, your point is well taken. Adara, we did break above this 182.63. We got into what? We got into 70s there. So it's kind of an anemic break, if you ask me. And I'm unsure what to make of this Apple long right now. It's unquestionably higher highs and higher lows. So even when you look, kind of the opposite look like that we have on the future, where we had lower highs and lower lows for the majority of the morning, Apple over here has a decidedly upward channel ever since that initial move down at the open when we dipped in 180, 145. Since that time, every single trough has been higher than the ones prior. Now we're looking at a 182.96 HOD touch based upon this current uptrend. And if you are to respect the upper trend line and say, okay, likely you're going to have a 182.90 touch, because that's where the upper trend line is showing right now. So good chance we touch 183 or maybe test highs on Apple. Now the question is, if we make it into 182.96, 183 on the dead one, is it a short? Or is it going to be a flat? I tend to feel that this is probably going to be a short. If we make it into 183 on Apple, that's just my personal opinion. But I don't have the price action support, obviously, to justify that, other than to say that we obviously had that rejection earlier. All right, so I did wet my beak there for a 40-penny winner on MET, and I'm happy about this trade because we got long 472s, took out the last remaining piece there on MET at 39s, not technically not 40, but you know, generally that whole area. So happy with this trade on META. VWAP hold after breaking VWAP and having used it for resistance, it flips back into support and makes itself a bit of predictable trade. The trade that I'm disappointed in myself for not having gone into again, and I had a trade off this one earlier, is the 50 period on the soft one. So you did have breaks of the 50 period, but look how tightly the price action is shadowing the 50 period here on the 5. So, I mean, you're going to have to make allowances for this 1 o'clock print that touched 200. And that was because of the auction, right? We knew that. So that was kind of my mistake for being in a Mag 7 name, but I ended up making money because I DCA'd at a better price. So that was, you know, that may not happen every time though, Adara. So I got away with it this time. I may not get away with it next time. Anyway, the point is to say that this 50 period hold on Softy looks awfully good. Looks like it's inching in closer to 412, 412, 23 HOD. So Softy's got a resistance level here at that 412 area. Let's see what the more liquid time of the more liquid time will bring once the big kahunas come on.
For a second, I thought you said the more liquid time of the brain. I was like, yeah, I feel that. I relate. That's where I'm at. I did get woken up there by that, which was nice. But also, yeah, I appreciate, like, thank you for being, like, I like that we're always honest here. I like that you said, you know, honest. Sometimes things don't work out when you add. Sometimes they do. I did get out of the queues. But yeah, we're always going to bring you the honesty or the Shaunesty. And Sean and...
Is that a new thing?
I just came up with it now.
Shaunesty?
There's Seanfidence has been in stir for a couple of days. Oh, okay.
Hold on, there's all these words off Sean's name now that I don't even know about. Where was I? I missed one day this week, and I miss all these words.
I think Seanfidence started on Friday, but sorry.
One animation allowed per month, says Ram Ram.
I'm just making puns here.
Okay.
But yeah, hopefully you guys had some fun. Also, Sam Mangione, just to clarify, for beak wetters, it's when you're profit taking. It's not adding to the position.
Yes.
If I say dip my toe, I'm probably getting involved. But beak wetting is when you're taking up. But right now, we're gonna have to beak wet for the day from the how to trade because we're done for the day.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll be taking profits on the session. That worked better in my head. But we'll see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. Right now, though, Brendan's at the desk.
Hey guys, yeah, welcome back in. A couple hours left in an afternoon that's trying to get positive. Still red, but only just.